All right. All right. It says we're live now.
Awesome.
Hopefully we'll have a couple people drop in the room here. I am your host, Shellback TJC, aka Hallmark Channel Jeremy. That's right. I am a clone of the almighty, above average, you know what, person, Jeremy Griggs. And today I have a few of the people that I invited. Hopefully the others will be in here soon. But I will introduce, if you do not know, the rant. And along with the rant, I have Immortal Coil and a special guest, at least to me, is Josiah Rises. So,
Hello. Greetings,
Rant,
everyone.
why don't you say hello to everybody?
Hello, everybody. And I would like to say thank you to my fellow thug from another mug for inviting me on the stream.
Coil might still be outside. I don't know. He's got his mic on mute. Oh wait, no.
Yeah, I apologize for the shit audio quality. I'm usually rambling somewhere or another. But what's up, YouTube? It's good to be amongst fellow tubers and minor celebrities, Josiah. I believe this is the first time that I'm streaming with the rant. I've seen you in chats, so it's nice to make your acquaintance, brother. How you doing today?
Oh, it's really nice to make your acquaintance too, bro. I'm doing great. How are you? Coil?
Oh, just braving the elements, wearing down the cartilage of my long bones, that kind of
stuff. All right.
We have Lil Blue Line in the chat. Lil Blue Line is in the chat.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hey, Little Blue.
If memory serves, I think that might be my oldest son.
Oh, nice. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
He's ready for you to drop some knowledge.
Yeah. Well,
some Yoda.
Make that boy proud.
I don't know. I don't know about
fatherly
that,
wisdom.
Yeah. No, he's I don't know. He's probably like the rest of the kids out there that I could they probably inform us just about as much as we inform them. But
yeah,
well, he's on the playground going, my dad was in the military and he's in YouTube. He could totally kick your dad's ass.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Military YouTuber, the ultimate combo.
Yeah.
Pow pow.
But apparently there's 2 other people in there. Yeah. Oh god. He's like, I'm watching Fox News at the moment. I don't know if you should have said that, son.
Well,
somebody's gonna pop in here and think that we're like an alt-right outfit or something.
Well, no, the frogs are gay, but the turtles are safe.
Yeah.
That's the case. I must be extremely alt-right because I get my news source from Ben Shapiro and Louder with Crowder. So
yeah, I like both of those guys, and I mean, and a lot of the millennials, a lot of millennials get that bad rap about being, a little bit on the idiotic side. But if you did not know, both of those gentlemen, Shapiro and Crowder, are in the millennial generation.
Yeah. Which is
so,
weird. Yeah.
So that not every millennial was affected by the
virus.
whatever.
Yeah, I mean, as a millennial myself, I definitely represent the millennials that don't appreciate when we're all lumped into one pile, because we're not all bad. So
Well, and Josiah represents a pushback, as I suspect the rant does.
Huh? I'm sorry, I just saw something funny on Twitter. What's up?
Oh, that's okay. Go ahead and scratch your ass. No, we're just saying how you're. We're just saying how you and Josiah are millennials who don't conform to the millennial sort of mold.
Yeah. When I get a new cell phone, it takes me about a month to find out where the flashlight is if it's not like directly on the front of it. I'm not lying. You can really quote me on that. Like I've had this phone for about 3 years, and I just found out that I could like record myself. Like, with the like voice recording. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I still don't really follow most of the social media platforms. Like, I've never like been on Snapchat. I hardly ever am on Instagram. I'm still not really part of the whole social media crowd, as a lot of people are. So yeah, Twitter is mostly where I go to now, just because that's kind of where a lot of the people from the fandom menace are. So that's pretty much the only reason why I use Twitter. So.
You damn kids and your internets.
Yeah, for real. Freaking millennials, I tell you.
Well, it looks like
man.
we have an Angus of color that just popped up in the chat.
Oh, jeez.
You do. Sorry.
Oh,
What's up, Angus?
What's that?
Here we go.
What's up, Angus?
I don't have much. Just got my. I'll show you all in a minute. I got some in the mail that I'll be showing off. But I'm just trying to catch up on y'all's conversation before I interject. But yeah, you are wrong. You can hate the answers we get in episode 9 or in the sequel trilogy with Ray, but there are going to be answers, my friend. There will be answers. You don't have to like them. I think
not right now. We are not talking about that right now. You want to have a debate about that? We can do that later.
Oh yeah, but
yeah.
Just had to.
This is a Smollett stream.
We're saving any Star Wars talk. We're saving any
Somebody's
Star
going
Wars talk
auto-tune
for later.
And Abu Nas has joined us now, guys. What's up, Abu Nas?
This is about my white privilege. It isn't about.
Oh,
you.
there he is. Hey,
Abu Nasty.
This is the Oreo cookie sandwich I've always hoped for.
Well, hey, Abu, I'm glad you made it, because now this stream has street cred. Okay. So.
Well, whatever I could supply, hopefully it'll. Like I said, I know the subject matter is a little bit on the touchy side. I'm not overly fond of talking about things like that, because even between friends, especially when you don't know them that well, sometimes you just gotta not be careful for the sake of it, but just try to, at the very least, hey, if you keep an open mind, there's two sides to every coin. Opinions is always going to be opinions.
Yeah.
I can only talk about it, but so much, and then I just shut that shit down. You know what I'm saying? If I'm not opening your mind and you're not opening up my mind, just let that shit go, man. Because obviously, people are always going to be passionate about the things that they want to be passionate about, and their belief systems, whether it's religious or secular, is mixed into that shit. So I'm old enough now to just say, especially over the damn internet. I mean, come on. It's not that serious. I mean, it could be serious, but it's really not that serious. You in one area, I'm in another area. When we log off of this shit, we got to walk out our door and interact with real people. Real people is either going to agree or disagree, and that's the way it is. Whether it's politics, this and that, I can't. I got more important things to worry about.
Damn right.
Right? Yeah. Well,
what was we talking about before I jumped in?
Just a little bit
hookers
of
and coke,
that. But, no, and I mean, that's probably the biggest thing about, this is, I just, wanted, wanted everybody's opinion on these subjects and, their experiences or whatever, and like, with that, like with the my white privilege thing,
Oh
I
yeah, I forgot about that.
I don't I can't technically, I guess I can't speak for anybody else, but I mean, I've never gotten a damn thing, not a damn thing in life because of the whiteness of my skin.
Right.
Nothing ever, never, ever. To.
Well, I'll tell you what, Shell. I am outdoors right now. I'm walking down the sidewalk 5 miles to my job just to put food on the table. I don't see no fucking privilege nowhere.
No.
But I guess obviously.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess obviously being impoverished, and I think I spoke to you on this in the DM when you approached me on this subject, that the whole white privilege thing. I mean, myself personally, I wasn't feeling the way that they was hashtagging this shit. Like, this was so cute. I mean, as a black man, and white privilege to me is pretty much circumstantial and situational. In New York. In New York, I mean, if you live in New York and you've seen the things that I've seen, you will know that that shit is real. In other parts of the country, everything is subjective to your living conditions, and being white and you're just as poor as the next person. You're right. You can't see that. That's something that you can't conceptualize because you got to hustle to put food on the table. You may have to do some things that you really don't want to do that. But you got to feed your family. You got to keep yourself up right and uptight. You may have issues with your kids and this, that, whatever. So whatever privilege that you think you have is not working for you. Meanwhile, on the other side, you got people that got loads of money, that got loads of opinions on shit. And when it comes to criminal, because look, I work at a law firm. My law firm pretty much have clients that have been railroaded by the system, and the system in and of itself, with those are in charge, will tell you in a heartbeat that you either had this coming, or things that happen to our clients, that is done by the police. Most times they are white. We see this, even get caught on cameras with it. And I'm saying this as a fact because my firm represented one of the people that died behind this shit. Nothing happened. To this day, nothing happened. We went to the city council about, I don't know how many times, to make sure that these police officers, get the justice that they deserve, and nothing happened. They just got administrative leave and nothing else was said. All the rallies that we did, that my firm did, everything that we tried to do just didn't pan out. For my people, that was just like a slap in the face, But this is all over the country in different parts where it's in the news and stuff like that. Somebody told me, when we speak about Black Lives Matter, and somebody just come out their face and just say, no, all lives matter and this, that, whatever. And another person, just couldn't understand, because number one, your race was never enslaved in the first place. So you can't equivalate what's being done to my people on a broader spectrum, that we don't have the right to speak out about this, or it just doesn't boggle your mind that we, when we speak about it, we're not speaking about in terms where all lives doesn't matter. All lives doesn't matter, and I had to say this to one person. I said, of course, all lives matter. But in the judicial system, things don't work favorably for my people. And this has been done for years. See, if we're only speaking about that particularly right now. If you can't see the problem with that, then you may be part of the problem. Let us do what we need to do to bring the justice to our people that we need. You know, if you're going to help us, help us. If you're going to empathize with us. But don't marginalize the movement or the things that we need to say. You know, white privilege goes along with that. But I'm only speaking for it in New York because I see this all the time. At least one attorney in my firm actually said, well, yeah, I know I have things, you know, easy. I don't have the issues that many of our African-American people have and this, that. Shit, I gave him respect and I work with him every day. And I'm actually friends with him. But I told him, I said, I respect you for the fact of actually saying, look, you know you have it. You ain't just gonna beat around the bush and, you know, and just try to play coy and act like we supposed to be, you know, we don't know what we talking about, you know, because we work in the same firm, we represent the same people, Black, Puerto Ricans, you know, indigenous people, Indian brothers, you know. We know the system does not work for poor people, and that includes whites. The system do not work for poor people. And I'm sad to say we all in this boat together.
The system works for itself, brother.
Yeah, I know that. I'm working in a law firm with the defendants, and I'm sitting up there shaking my head. They gave this one kid, oh man, what was it last week? Yeah, we went in there and I swore at this stupid kid. I said, dude, you already had an order of protection on you. Leave that fucking girl alone, man. She ain't doing nothing for you. Leave him. Look, he's 23. He's 23. He got caught with an assault. He got out because he didn't have a criminal record beforehand. Now, the judge gave him an order of protection. Circumstances happened where the girl, and we knew that the girl was in the wrong because the Texas and her sister pretty much sealed her fate. But they wound up giving him, because he was stupid enough to go back to the scene of the crime, to the girl's apartment. You know, she lured them into a trap and he fell for it. You know, we argued to the judge that between the Texas and the sister's admission, where they caught her in a lie in the trial, didn't make no difference. Didn't no difference because he had, you know, some misdemeanors and stuff. They still gave him pretty much what, 3 months? 3 months in. Just
so
like
then,
that.
Where does this place Jussie Smollett, in your opinion, as the legal person?
Oh, you know what? I don't have no respect for him whatsoever because somebody's lying. Somebody's lying.
I think Jussie's
police department didn't go through all that trouble. Like I said, I work with law enforcement. Police department don't go through all that trouble. They don't make. I mean, police department can make shit up. You know, and like I said, that can go for Los Angeles and Rodney King and all of that. But I'm just saying, on a general stuff, I mean, the police department has the job to do. They have to collect evidence. They have to collect, you know, witnesses or whatever forensic, anything that they need to do to try to prove their case. They had an airtight case, you know.
Well, it sounded like a media publicity stunt.
Yeah, somebody told me that the DA had a call from one of Michelle Obama's assistants that worked with the DA.
Yep.
And whatever happened within that conversation, she dropped the charges.
And the record was sealed.
And was sealed. It shouldn't have been sealed, because at the very least, give the police, because if he really was innocent, don't seal the records. Just let the prosecution have their day to say what they need to say. And your defense, if you knew you was on point, your defense will crush that shit without a problem. That's what being confident in your legal system is all about. Now that you sealed it, none of it can't see the light of day. No evidence, no nothing. And that's a damn shame, because that makes us look like, because somebody sneakily said nobody can say nothing about white privilege ever again, and that's an isolated incident. I don't give a fuck who says what. That's an isolated incident. I'm a black man. I'm telling you, he's lying. Okay, that don't his situation don't equivalent to none of the shit that's been going on throughout the past couple of years. None of it. You know.
What do you think, the rant?
What do I think?
Yeah, about Jussie Smollett.
I don't really have any thoughts on him. What exactly did he do? Like exactly.
He hired 2 Nigerian guys to beat him up, and he wanted to scream that white people with the MAGA hats and all of that came through and beat him for a hate crime. So basically, he created a hate crime which got out into the media, and you know how it is when if a white person beats down a black person or what have you. I mean, the police have been doing it for a minute, but now here comes this gay black movie star or what have you, and he got beat down. Now he's screaming hate crime. The whole media went ballistic. When it found out that the Nigerians told him, nah, they kind of made this shit up because he's mad. Smollett was mad that he ain't get no money from Empire. I looked at this. I was like, what the type of dumb shit is this? You making our people look bad behind that madness.
Oh man, I mean, as if there isn't enough out there making black people look bad. I mean, just go on World Star Hip Hop and there you go. I mean, but this is a whole other level of
stupidity.
You know,
you forgot the bleach and the noose.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
I was just totally disgusted by that. And
I remember hearing that. Yeah.
Well, there was a whole FBI. There was a whole FBI investigation. Like federal fucking authorities got involved in that, and then he got to clap his hands together, wash the dust off his pants.
Well, the FBI thing is still going on.
Yeah.
It's just sad, you know. People are crying wolf at this point. You know, if it didn't happen to you, don't say it did, because when it does happen to you, who's gonna really care if it does at this point?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, if it were to really happen to him, I would probably laugh. Like, you probably got people pissed off with you, and this is why it's happening. It's not racial. It's because you lied. You know what I mean?
Well, and I think that's the tip of the spear, is that we are a lot more civilized than the grown-ups want to admit to. And they're trying to manufacture dissent in order to turn us against each other. But look at us. We're a multiracial panel. We're getting along fine. We're joking. We're ribbing each other. Doesn't matter. We're humans.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the thing now. Like I said, I've known Black Angus for a minute. You know, we cool, immortal. I think I only met you one other time.
We were on a pre-Senate, yeah.
Right. And
Batman.
Hallmark Jeremy, you know, I've known him for a minute, and we cool and stuff. The only one I don't know is Josiah Rises. That's the only person I don't know.
Well, it's because he's famous.
Yeah.
I've seen you around a little bit, Abu, but I haven't really talked to you too much. But yeah.
Yeah, well, pleasure.
It's his fault. It's his fault that we're here.
Oh shit! So you was the cause of all this.
Of course, I say that jokingly. I don't blame. It's not an actual blame, but
yeah.
The reason I wanted to do is because of a tweet that he put out, and I responded to it, with a one of my own, and then I got some other Yahoo trying to, throw crap at me like, oh well,
So
tell me of a white person who ever had to march for their rights or whatever after this country was founded, and I was like, dude, honestly, that set me off. I mean, that really set me off. Because
said what white person marched for their rights?
I would have to pull up the damn.
White people did march for their rights. They marched for their rights to be able to marry black people. They marched for that. They marched along with black people. They did have to march. The ones that believe they did have to march.
Oh, Rant. I'm glad you mentioned that, because they actually made a movie out of that. the guy, is a white guy, and his he had to fight, to marry his.
That case in Virginia.
She was like black and
Yeah.
native or something like that.
Yeah, well, that was kind of a famous case because they wasn't trying to hear nothing like that a white man would have the audacity to marry a black woman, and the way they kind of categorize it, like I said, we were second class citizens to them, even though we were free, but we wasn't.
Yeah.
You know what? I ain't even got time to break down the entire history.
Yeah, but, my big deal, or my thing about it though, is like, like this one dude, that tweeted back at me, right? Apparently, I mean, by the sounds of it, he thinks that, every white person in America has had it made since the beginning, which is bullshit. Okay. Because I mean, even back.
Just really quick, I wanted to tell. I tagged everyone in this panel on Twitter, so if you want to go on there and retweet it to get the most viewership and discussion going in the chat before we get too far in and no one sees it.
Oh, I see. Okay, I need to go on Twitter right now.
Sorry about that, Homer.
Jussie Smollett.
But like
right there in the mix.
Like I was telling somebody, it's like even before the Civil War and all that stuff, even, I mean, granted, the whole slavery thing was a little bit different than, like, say,
a little bit
indentured servitude, and stuff like that. But I mean, for the longest time, unless you were a landowner in this country, you didn't have shit. It's like you were, it's like, you really didn't matter, regardless of your skin, even, but like, so it's irritating to me personally when somebody, throws shit in there like that, when we don't live there anymore. We're here, we're now, okay? And the things that, where I was talking about and Josiah was talking about is now. It's not back then, it's now. So, it's and I'm not trying to say, oh, this didn't happen or that didn't happen, none of that. I'm not trying to say, I'm not trying to dismiss anything. But when people throw in shit like that, when we're, we're living now, we're talking about stuff now,
Well, then I'm curious, Black Angus, as a biracial man, what is the pushback and what is the push and pull between blackness and whiteness? Like, have you been accused of being too white or not dark enough?
Oh, dude, I got in an argument with someone, might have been about, the thing is about like the Oscars or something, and I was saying something like, I understand like, why does race matter for like getting this stuff? And I was talking about how I can't remember what the context was. Something about this year's Oscars, and there's like this race baiter, in my opinion, just like we race, yeah, we won or something. I'm like,
Black Panther.
I was like, Black Panther got nominated, I think 7 and won at least 3 Oscars. Green Book won. It's all this stuff. And then she's like, assumed I was either a troll or a white nationalist or something. It's like, Jesus Christ, these people are so extreme and wacky. They can't be confronted. You can disagree when they're confronted. So they're just disagreeing. Like, no, I think we just see it different. It's like, you think this, you're a white nationalist. And I'm actually going to make a video coming up soon about some people that have gotten famous negatively via the fandom menace. They assumed I was a white nationalist because I'm conservative. And it's funny. The one thing that I'll say, being a mixed guy, especially being in the military and getting into like that culture where it's like your color is green, kind of like in Full Metal Jacket, where he's making fun of everyone, but they're all, he puts them in their place. He makes fun of them racially, but it's because none of it really matters. You're all maggots, and same with the Army or any armed forces. And growing up in Oklahoma, which is a very mixed state, being Indian and white and black, it may feel bad in a certain way, but I don't really have an identity outside of just being American and being Oklahoman. I feel like, just like they talk about Obama, or he's from Kansas and Hawaii and his mixed family. I feel the same way. I feel I am America. Like, I only talk about being black or bi because they make these identifiers. Like, if you feel conservative and you're a minority, like, you have to like, well, hey, I'm a minority and I think this way. And that gives you like more cred for some reason. That's the culture we've been in.
Right.
But to kind of maybe not counter, but give my perspective. Yeah, slavery happened. I think they bashed us. I think we bashed it over everyone's head too much, though, because it was just a fact of life for hundreds of thousands of years across the world. We were also, I don't know if we were the leaders of like changing that and getting rid of slavery in the modern world, but we did eventually. And there's this whole like the white privilege idea. I think it's idiotic. I don't think that it's necessarily white privilege. I think white people were the more industrious, and therefore they could take over more land in countries. Therefore, they accrued generational wealth faster than third world countries now. But because the birth rate, when you get rich, you have less children. You invest more resources in fewer children. And so white people are going to die out eventually and become a minority just from the birth rate and from the accrued generational wealth. And so over time, the birth rate rectifies itself, generally speaking. Problem being black, whether you're for abortion or not, abortion clinics are targeted at minorities, especially black people. And especially it goes hand in hand with like the fatherless trend in the black community, at least being, a lot of bastards born as a black as a community, disproportionately to other races or minorities. I think that factors in as well. And so you don't have stable homes, and it takes like a lot more luck of a draw to accrue that generational wealth and start, a foundation for riches and family. But I think, riches will come to other minorities. The biggest problem here is that people don't want the time it takes to build it, where Whitey is now in their eyes. They want it now. They want payback. They want reparations for what their forefathers suffered. And it's like, that's not how you fix things. It's not what America's about. We're all about trying to equalize stuff and even playing field to start the race from. Now, generational wealth gives you an advantage, but I like with this, I think he's a preacher, I'm not sure, but this that famous conservative black guy on YouTube, he kind of put it in perspective for this black girl that was wanting like isolated black organizations for the colleges and safe spaces for black kids and this and that. And
that sounds like the 50s, man.
Yeah, and he was like, hey, your family, what did they do? You had both parents in the home, right? So, you had a stable family. They took care of you. You're going to college thanks to them and your own smartness. And so what do you want to do? It's like, that's better than your family. So you're going to be the second generation. So you're going to be accruing generational wealth. And so he kind of flipped it, and he's like, should, someone else get to take it from you or your kids? It's like, that's how I feel about it. That's how I look at it. It's like, it's not race. It's just, it's happened to align racially, but it's not end all be all,
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to equate eventually. And, it'll shift where Puerto Rico's really bad about classism compared to racism. They're all mixed down there. But, if you're poor and I got, I'm rich and I got a daughter, like, you stay away from her because you're scum, because you're poor. So there's always divisions. It's just happened to really be focused racially in America.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I mean, excuse me. I feel it's more of a economic thing myself. Because like I said before, I haven't received a damn thing in this world because I'm white. Not a damn thing. So, and I don't know. Yeah.
Well, guys, I'm about to have to drop out of the chat and swing the hammer. So it's been an honor standing toe to toe with you, gentlemen. I'm going to be listening, so make sure that your comments are insightful, because I'll be the principal and I will fucking check your ass. But seriously, I love every one of you, and I'll look forward to content from each and every one of you. Make sure, if you're listening, subscribe to all these wonderful gentlemen. Listen to them, hit the thumbs up, hit the like button, share this discussion, because it's honestly enlightening, and we need more stuff like this going around YouTube. So I'm bowing out. Thank you, guys.
See you, Mark.
Thanks for coming.
Well,
Appreciate it. But,
I'm curious to know what the actual tweet was that set this whole thing off, though.
I was thinking, maybe I might be wrong, but I was thinking I might have sent a copy of it to you. I know I put it up on Twitter.
Did you DM it to me?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. I might not have DM'd it to you.
Wait a minute. Okay, you did do that. All right. Now,
Did
I'm looking at it. Can I actually mention it? Because I want to say this to myself. Okay, Josiah Rice to say, I can destroy my white privilege myth with 2 words, Jussie Smollett.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and then my comment should be like right under it.
Right, nice way to continue dividing our country SJWs. Okay, and I can destroy my white privilege with just homelessness. Yeah, if there was such a thing as white privilege, I would never experience homelessness. That in and of itself is true. I mean, shoot, all of us is not born rich. All of us have not been born with a silver spoon in our mouths. Regardless of your race, your nationality, and your creed. I guess, Josiah, you was pretty much responding to, if I can categorize this right, you was responding to basically whoever came off with, I'm assuming that when that Jussie Smollett thing happened and then they found out that it was a lie. So did that prompt your tweet, or?
That happened, I believe, right after they basically dropped all the charges for him.
Okay.
Yeah. So, the point that I want to make and stuff is that, I hate the blanket statements that people throw around, like white privilege, or you're a racist if you believe one way, or if you're a sexist if you believe one way. I hate those blanket statements because it's usually a lot more intricate than that. And
because people have abused all these terms, and they don't mean as much anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And like you guys have been talking about, it comes down to a lot more than just the race of a person. With Jussie Smollett, he has money, he has all these other things that are working for him at the same time. So it's not just about the race of someone that determines whether they are successful or not, or whether they have a better life than someone else or not. I'm not saying that there aren't racists out there. There's obviously racists out there, and they treat people horribly, and I think that's completely wrong.
Yeah.
But I hate the fact that they like to lump everyone into these different categories when that's usually not the case.
Yeah, because the justice system is what it is. So let the justice system play itself out and see what happens. I mean, every man is presumed innocent until proven guilty. That's what the law says. But unfortunately, such a justice warrior pretty much, you know, make you guilty from the court of opinion. And then when the shit is flipped back, now they don't know how to handle it, you know, and now you're pushed on the defensive. As I've always said, white privilege to me is circumstantial and it's situational. In New York, it's a totally different case. Where do you live at, Josiah? If I don't,
I'm from Muskegon, Michigan. So,
oh, okay, nice.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like state to state. It's like a different vibe.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. It, like I said, I'm in New York. I work for the biggest law firm that deals that caters to those who don't have money, who can't afford big time attorneys and stuff like that. And we're the largest nonprofit law firm, one of the largest nonprofit law firms in the country.
Nice. Congrats on that. That's awesome.
Well, I've worked there 25 years. I'm still screaming for a raise, brother. So, but it hurts my heart, and this goes for all races. But unfortunately, my people just catch that hell more than a little bit. And those who are white and in authority either, you know, don't really take in consideration, not even have white attorneys arguing the same fact that, listen, man, we represent in the tri-state, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Queens, Bronx, Staten Island, you know, all the surrounding tri-state areas. There's more Black, Latino, and more minorities there that live and is under your protection, and we don't see that on a day-to-day basis, whether you do the sweeps, whether you do this. And we're only, and I'm trying to word this carefully where I don't want to seem insensitive. All I'm saying is that when you look at us and you see what we go through on a day-to-day basis, don't be too quick to just put our views and our feelings off. But on the other side of the coin, Josiah, you're right. It just seems like because of the smartphones and Twitter and social media, everybody's an armchair philosopher. Everybody's an armchair, you know, professor in social studies, where they know their fellow man better than themselves, you know, and that's not the case. Jussie Smollett's thing was a rare travesty of justice that happened to fall on a Black man that tried to get over, and he did get over. And now nobody, it seems like on the whole, you know, if a white person looks at us, it's like, well, y'all Black people can't say shit no more. And then we'll turn around and look at you like, oh, really? This is a situational case. Don't get it fucked up or twisted. Our thing has been going on for a minute. You just haven't caught wind of it. You know?
Yeah, for me, I do agree theoretically with the whole, like, you know, state to state and whatnot. I think it's a good point, because you know, think of like how life might have been for, say, Randy Moss if he grew up in New York or Chicago or Baltimore or somewhere, a higher Black community, whatever percentage, compared to where he did in Rand, West Virginia, right, or Montana, where it's like the minority is just American Indians, you know, like myself. I think that does play, you know, just because of, you know, if you're exposed to quote unquote diversity, you know, you have a different perception and you might become more classist or something. But there is something kind of, I don't know, there seems to be like a nature to racism, at least like an implicit bias, like, oh, that guy looks different, you know, his skin's different, you know, it's like Whitey goes to Africa or something. It's like they're going to be kind of ambivalent, or they're, you know, there's just an implicit bias because you stick out like a sore thumb if you're not exposed to it early enough in life. You know,
that happened to me, obviously. But
it's kind of like in the military, where it's like, you know, you notice if someone's uniform is messed up because it just stands out. Same thing, but worse with a different race or, you know, hair or whatever. Like, so that can factor in. But I really think like the white privilege thing, it really boils down to money. I think there's money supersedes the law, like the ethics of law, where it's like if you got money, you can at least you know, push the scales to one side or the other, depending what side you're on.
That's not always the case. I mean, I remember being back in high school and being, you know, like out in a park, you know, drinking some beer or something like that, and a cop will pull up, and the only one that's getting talked to is me, and now it'll be like me, you know, a couple of white dudes, and like we usually hung out like random people, you know what I mean? But that time it was just me, a couple of white dudes, and a couple of Asian dudes too. I can't exactly remember, but I was the only one that was talked to.
Right.
Did you buy the beer? How did you get this alcohol? Not really your business. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why am I the only one being talked to? I'm not giving my information to you at all because you're singling me out. You're not talking to anybody else. Like, that's how I've always had to handle myself on the streets. Like, I could be walking down the street, and back in the day, yeah, I used to hustle. I had lots of money. I would flash like a whole wad of cash, and cops would stop me just for that. How'd you get that money? Not your business. I sell candy. Like, don't question me because you see I have money. I go to a store, buy a new game. Oh, how do you have all that money? The hell does it matter to you? For all you know, I'm working here just like you. Like, don't ask me why I have money. Just take my money so I can go home and play my video game. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's. I'm sorry for my white privilege, but luckily, I'm detoxing that. And
I was wondering when that shameless plug.
And you know what? It tastes even better.
Oh my goodness.
Mug.
That's nice.
And also, if you don't look so good, I got this alternate mug. Makes you look better.
Oh, awesome stuff, Angus.
That's amazing. That's beautiful. Really kind of turns me on a little bit.
Yeah, you get 8 nipples. You get 8 nipples for the price of 2.
I feel funny just looking at that mug. It just makes me feel so oozy and everything.
Yeah. There may be some excessive nipplage on that. I'm just saying.
Like that'd be a little overwhelming. Like, what do you do in that situation? Like, I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
You do what you can. That's what you do.
That's a lot of nipples to take care of at once, you know.
Hey man, hey, I don't know.
It's all about position,
yeah, all about position and head movement. You know, like should you go side to side, maybe diagonally? You know what I'm saying? Up and down. Like it's all a matter of preference, bro.
That's when motorboating really comes into play. I tell you what.
I'm just so sad that, you know, like I said, the way these things get played out into the media and stuff, and like I said, you got billions and billions of people just be on Twitter, just waiting to jump on any latest, you know, controversy, whether it's politics or secular or criminal or what have you. You know, I mean, it wasn't. I mean, 10 years ago, we wasn't really even going through it like that.
Exactly.
You know, everything just ramped up when, you know, President Obama was leaving office. Trump got in the game, and everything just changed.
It really did. It really did.
Whether you love him or hate him, I mean, but people already know I'm anti-Trump. I don't give a fuck about him. He's a Nazi sympathizer the whole bit. I know he did his dirt, but he hasn't been caught yet. I call myself a liberal, but half of the time I hate the Democrats even more now because now they hypocritical. Everybody is on their soapbox saying X, Y, and Z. The whole Me Too movement added on to that. Now all of a sudden it's a floodgate. The floodgates is open. I mean the men that was doing their dirt. Now it's time to pay the piper. You know? And this is and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But now we got to a point where the feminazis, if I can call them that, the man-hating feminazis, now they're on a mission to try to stomp out the other side of existence. I mean, you hate us men so much that we can't even have the possibility of being good in your eyes. I guess you've been scarred, you know, so much to the effect that, you know, you don't see us as a valuable partner to you in this thing called life anymore. And that's a shame. That's a shame. And it hurts me because, you know, I have 3 daughters, you know, I mean, they already know, you know, how I was raised. They know how I grew up. They knew I ran these streets and did what I did, but I'm still their father. Do you want to turn, you know, your kids against their own father just because he's a man? I'm heterosexual. I don't fall for the LGB and this whatever. That's
what?
not.
Wait a minute. You're what? You're straight?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh no!
What?
Oh, no. We can't have that.
Hard to believe, right?
I mean, when you came on though, you were like, hey.
I don't know about all that. I was just saying, hey, my mic on.
He was like, "What's up, guys? I'm sorry. I was just going to get an espresso."
Nah, you ain't gonna hear that come out my mouth. But I'm saying,
I said soy latte.
Hey, don't scream on the soy. That's Luke Skywalker's thing right there. But it makes me sad because I see this play itself out every single day, even when it doesn't even involve the Me Too movement or whatnot. Somebody's always going to come out with some opinion that'll connect to that and how women are being marginalized. That's why the Captain Marvel thing, despite that movie being shit, that movie was being shit. They had an agenda and they was going to push it no matter what. On a theoretical level, I'm not hating on that, but y'all got this shit so twisted. So what about Wonder Woman? Wonder Woman didn't count anymore, you know. And what about Black Widow? Shit, y'all shitted on her on the real grimy thing. And the problem with that was we was already invested in her story. Men and women, we was invested. Why you couldn't? I mean, it wasn't that impossible. Somebody said, well, we didn't know if women superheroes could be viable. Dumbass. That was the point of going out there and trying. So now all of a sudden, after so many years, here comes Carol Danvers. And then I had to break these little bitch ass, sucker ass chumps down, saying that bitch wasn't even here for 2 years, got her power stolen by Roe. Here comes a black woman with her own origin, her own story. They gave her the mantle of Captain Marvel, and she ran with that shit for 10 damn years. And was leading the Avengers. Y'all didn't think about it. So the whole push with the diversity. Nobody in the fucking planet ever had a clue. Like got up one morning, brushed their teeth. You know what I'm saying? Make their eggs and bacon. And then the light bulb bing, came up in their head and said, you know what? The diversity thing is what we're trying to push. Let's have the black woman be Captain Marvel and we could tell her story from there. Nah, no, ain't nobody thought about that. Nobody don't care about that. Now you got the blonde hair, blue hair girl come in, boom, there we go, your savior. She doing everything right from the jump. Some that Mary Ray Sue. But the women jumped on this. Here we go with the floodgates. Now if you say anything, because the movie was categorically bad, it basically retconned half of the MCU. So now all of a sudden when we say, and you know what's so weird about it? I saw people on Twitter be very polite, come out and actually gave a blow-by-blow account of why Captain Marvel as a character wasn't simply interesting. The ladies just came out and tried to smash him into the dirt. I mean, it felt bad because he wasn't even trying to get back at him like that. Because you know me, I'll call you a bitch hole in a minute. But he didn't do that, and he was trying to still be respectful. And they literally tried to eat him up. And I said, this shit was going too far because obviously we can't even be kind and nice to you. Then what are you left us with? Because men are not going to shut up. Whether you're straight or whether you're gay or whatever. I mean, if you're of the male persuasion, I tell people all the time, don't hold your tongue. Be a man. Put your big boy pants on and be a man. Because most times these women are out here running their goddamn mouth about how they sold this and they don't need that. They'll love a man that will look you in the damn eye and put you in your place. Then they'll shut up. But you can't do that shit on Twitter because you typing words on a machine. You walk outside the door, that shit is a different story. So that's why half of the time I don't pay these people on Twitter no mind. I'll say my little jokes and this, that, whatever. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I got better things to do. You know, when you come see me, I'll give you my address. Come see me, and I'm gonna break it down to you. That way, you won't have no problem with Abu Nasser saying. You know, you're a racist, you're a misogynist. I say, please, girl, stop it. Please, man, stop it. And if I have to break down the history of the United States to you, y'all gonna look fucking stupid. So stop it. Just let it go. Just concentrate on the here and now. This is the 21st century, and we're still bickering with each other about this and that and the third. Where's the love, man? One thing I do respect about Donald Trump, and I made no bones about it, he don't give a fuck about your feelings, no way, no how. He's with himself. He may be a liar and this, that, whatever. It was like, but he's so pure. Yeah, banging porn stars, but whatever. But I like the fact that he does not care about being politically correct. And that's what a lot of people love these days, because we were so stuck on stupid with all these politicians running around here trying to be so morally upright that when the skeletons came out, then the house of cards came down. At least with Donald Trump, he ain't made no bones about what he was. He kept it 100. Grabbing pussy and all of that. The grabbing pussy thing was the real telling thing, because as much as the Me Too movement was yelling and screaming, and I had to get on this girl, and she eventually blocked me because I caught you. So you went through this whole tirade with the Me movement and Harvey Weinstein and all this other bullshit, but yet you turned around and voted for Donald Trump because he's grabbing women pussies and he's moving on them like a bitch. Y'all ain't paid that no mind because you hated Hillary Clinton, a woman in and of itself. I would have thought women were sticking together. Nah, y'all eat each other up in the first instance that you don't like each other. But women are like that. Women are like that.
You didn't see that Family Guy episode?
Yeah, they'll smile at another woman's face and do that the fake kiss. You see all the shows, the reality shows, and what do? They sitting up there scheming to get I love it. Art imitates life that way. That way I'm just lay in the cut. And I tell all you men, yo, man, just lay in the cut. You don't have to run off at the mouth with these women, because they'll get their chain gang together. That's how Ren Famous is the way that she is. She got these hate groups and this, that, whatever, but whatever the people that she wants to sympathize with, she'll get that little gang of people together. They'll have little conversations in their DM. I know the tricks. I know the tricks. That's why half of the time I only said one thing to one of her followers, but then I knew that, okay, they'll go back and they'll run into her. She responded to me with something. I just pretty much had a smile emoji and I kept it moving. I said, you ain't gonna bait me to that shit, because half of the time they want to just try to report until something sticks, and then you get banned. Me myself, I don't care about the ban. I'm a 3-time Twitter felon. I was Super Mac. I came the fuck out of there. So there ain't none of y'all bitch ass suckers can scare me on no level. But as a man, stand on your own. Let your woman know, because I'll call every woman this, that, whatever. I objectify them. I'm misogynist. I love them from their lips to their hips. I'm looking at you, trying to undress you. I'll do all of that. But in the same breath, you're the mother of civilization. You're the queens. What I always say, people that's in the chat on Twitter, y'all know how I get down. What do I say all the time when it comes to you ladies? When we come out the womb, who's the first person we see? A woman. Who's our first teacher? A woman. Who's our first protector? A woman. Our comforter? A woman. Our leader? A woman. So you don't think common sense would apply to the fact that your mother is the first thing that you have to lean on for your very motherfucking survival? Huh? Survival. You will not live in this world without a woman. So how in the world can you come out your face and say that we're hateful, we don't love this, and they're misogynist? Our very existence is dependent upon you. Yeah, we can act a fool sometimes, but come on, don't get it twisted. We love our mama, we love our grandmama, we love our sisters, and we love those that took care of us when we were kids, where we have to give them the utmost love and respect. And that's a cycle, man. That's a cycle. What? Damn right. What do I know, right? What do I know?
Good stuff. Awesome. Yeah.
And I mean, and then what you just said, though, I mean, it can that philosophy or whatever can apply to like everything we've talked about.
Yeah.
Whether it's the men and women, black and white, rich, poor, whatever, we can You know, it's
well, we all bleed the same, and I tell people all the time. In my faith, Islam, basically, God doesn't create mankind. He creates mankind as one, but tribes are being what they are. You have to go into the world and make the world your own, populate it, but always remember that your first duty in and of itself is to worship God as he intends. Your blood is red. Your color can be mixed or whatever, but at the end of the day, we're all going to be responsible for what we do on this earth while we're alive. All of us, pretty much our women are our helpers, our partners. They're not subservient to us, but men are above women slightly to the degree that we are their protectors. I mean, unfortunately, with the whole cis thing and this, that, whatever, everybody's just so fucked up and confused about which way they want to swing. But at the end of the day, and I said, I'm sorry if it hurts your feelings, but it is what it is. When you came out the womb of your mother, if you was a female, I'm sorry, you're a female. You can act like a man. Yeah. You can call yourself Billy Bob or whatever.
Have Abu, hey, yeah. Abu, just consider this stream like an episode of Ben Shapiro, okay? Facts don't care about your feelings, so yeah. Don't worry about hurting anybody's feelers.
No, I do worry about that because I do care. If I like you and I rock with you, I do care about your views and your ideologies and stuff like that. If they don't swing well with mine, I respect that, and I don't try to make comments behind it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you notice me on Twitter, like I said, y'all guys are pro-Trump. Y'all guys are this. I even had some of my people on Twitter say things very negatively about my faith, where it concerns that girl in Congress and this, that, whatever. But I keep my mouth shut because whether I could either educate you on that, how you feel about that young lady is how you always going to feel. I feel like some of the things that she said, maybe ill time. Some of the things is taken out of context on a reel, but whatever it is, she rubs people a lot the wrong way. But when people talk about they want to hurt her and kill her and how, this terrorist going to be in Congress and whatnot, then I take offense to that. Because in my faith, we're supposed to protect our women. So if I like you and if you think you're going to try to harm that young lady, I'm going to come after you. That's just point blank, because that could be my daughter. Yeah. I have 3. I raised them in Islam. My youngest one is 7. Her mother is Christian. I didn't, bitch and moan about this, that, whatever, but I have been practicing Islam for damn near 35 years. So I know certain things that if you're confused about something, don't be ashamed or afraid to come to me, because whatever questions that you ask, and Islam is beautiful when it says, ask questions. Ask questions. That is your right. If you don't know, ask the question. If the answer that I give you doesn't provide you with the wisdom that you're looking for, then do the research and then come back. That's all it is. This life is just basically a road that you travel. You're going to pick certain things up. You're going to lay certain things down. But the more knowledge and wisdom that you get, you're able to give back to other people. Whether they agree with it or not makes it never mind. But you feel good in that I'm not going to be ignorant just for the sake of it. If I can learn certain things from Black Angus, I'm taking that and running with it. If I can learn certain things from Shellback or Josiah, I'm taking it and I'm gonna run with it. I'm gonna make it applicable to my daily life, whether I come in contact with a young man who's in the penile system, something Josiah could say to me, I can apply that shit to somebody that's locked up right now, scared to death, not knowing what the judge is gonna say. And whatever words that I heard from Josiah that I bring to him may help him out to be a better man. That's the beauty. That's the beauty of brotherhood in this country. We're actually starting to move that way. But lo and behold, politics, this, that. Once we wipe out all that other shit, and it may never be completely wiped out, but I understand it. And I tried to, and I told people this. The older you get, I'm getting ready to be 50 years old. I see that this world is changing. As much as we try to let these people know, and especially in the whole Star Wars community. I get it. You want your new demographics. You want your young people to come into the all-exclusive, all-inclusive gender cis and this and the LGBT. I get it. Because people like myself that's been here since 77, or people like myself that's been here, know that the world is changing and it's not going to be for us anymore. The older we get, the more that we're phasing up. But that's a part of life. That's a part of life. Your children are born, they're going to be raised with different ideologies to suit them in the world that they're going to live. You know, as much as I scream about the whole social justice thing and this, that, whatever, and I said this in a chat not too long ago, I may be hypocritical because my oldest daughter is 30. She is very, very active for women empowerment, you know, don't want to be marginalized, want to have the best future for herself, how she sees it. Now, I may disagree with her on certain aspects of it vehemently, but here's the key. And I do this with the social justice warrior all the time. I do it all the time. But here's where the hypocritical side of me comes out, but I don't even care. See, when it comes to my baby, that's my baby. You understand?
Yeah.
That's for my seed. My baby's all grown up. I'm so proud of the woman that she became. She, you know, didn't get into anything crazy and this, that, whatever. Yeah, she may have, you know, slipped up, got pregnant by a guy that she felt she loved and this, that, but she was already grown. She had to go through her bumps. She went through the whole family court thing, but I'm a father. I helped her. But I was so proud of the fact that she has her own mind. She's intelligent. She's very, you know, empathetic, but she's strong in her convictions that she wants a woman to never, ever be looked upon as a piece of meat, as a this, as that. And I'm all for it. I know I disagree with her with some of the other basics where people of the Me Too movement and getting carried away and whatnot. But I swear to God, man, that's my baby. So if you come at her sideways with anything that I might, and this is the hypocritical side, I know. So anything that I might said, if another dude say that to my baby, I'm gonna punch you in your face.
Hell yeah, bro.
If I catch wind of it, I'm gonna fucking put hands on you. No, I'm not even gonna say nothing. I'm just gonna walk up to you and I'm gonna try to hurt you. That point blank. Because you will never come to my daughter's face. And I had to catch myself like, damn, God is good. God is good. Look how the whole thing plays out when it involves one of your own. That's why I don't get too bent out of shape with the whole, you know, women, this, that, whatever. I only spoke about it on Captain Marvel because of the character and the agenda that they was pushing. I don't really have a problem with Brie Larson as a woman. Shoot, she's doing the same thing that any other woman would do if she was in the power and the position to do it. More power to you. But guess what? Gal Gadot is doing the same thing. Only she's not being overbearing about it, and she's not trying to beat it in your head. Yeah. She's letting that shit happen organically. And that's why everybody loved Wonder Woman, both men and women. I'm sorry that she didn't break the $1 billion mark, you know, because that's what they use to sort of like compare her to Captain Marvel, you know. But I digress. Damn,
yeah. The beautiful thing, I mean, kind of added on to what you were saying, Abu, is that you know, as men, we are, you know, the protectors of women, but at the same time, women are the nurturers of men. Yes. And without them, we wouldn't be anything either. That's
thank you.
Thing about it, you know.
Preach.
Yeah.
But when we say it, but on the other end, Josiah, when we on Twitter and we got to fight with these people just trying to do this pushback because you're not changing our opinions. That's what they're really mad about. You're not changing our opinions no matter what you do. That's what makes you frustrated. And I'm sorry to say, you stay mad, stay frustrated. But at the same time, I'm like you. I don't want our country to go sideways. I don't want to see no woman raped and being taken against her will and being marginalized and making her feel like that she can't talk to no. I don't want to see that. But don't tell me that I don't have an opinion that may be contrary to yours because I feel like you going off the damn deep end. Exactly. That's what I have the problem with. Exactly. And it don't have nothing to do with race.
Yep.
You see how fast I call out Jussie Smollett? He's black. You know, and most black people stick with their own no matter what. I do. I know I do. But I'm going to call it how I see it. You a liar. And now you got this whole thing so twisted that everybody coming out the woodwork now looking at us like, if you're black, you're gay, and you're in the industry, you're protected. Fuck being protected. Unseal the documents. Unseal the documents and let justice be served. You know, y'all went after Bill Cosby like it wasn't nobody's motherfucking business. Nobody's business. And I said, well, Bill tripped himself up. But come on, man. At least he was dealing with grown-ass women. Shit. Nobody else. I mean, you got these dudes, you know, skating in thin ice. You got Willie Allen not been touched. You got this one all the way in the other country. Fucking 13-year-old girls leaving the country. You know what I'm saying? And then we come back to R. Kelly. Now I mean, come on. We knew R. Kelly was on that bullshit. Then now all of a sudden it's unbearable for black people calling him out too. It is what it is. You do the dirt and the shit come out. Now you got to pay the piper. It's just that simple. Pretty Swank gotta get his D-Day in court pretty soon. But he gonna get caught out there. You know, when he was in that little chat with the teens and the 19-year-olds. I mean, they legal. What? Come on, Swank Patron. You know, up your street cred, baby. Come on, get with the 25-year-olds. Go to 26. Don't hang out with the 19-year-old crowd.
Who saw the Chris Rock thing on the award show talking about Jussie?
Yeah. Oh, he did?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's like just like maybe a couple minutes or something. But yeah, he was like talking to right there on the stage. What was it? The Image Awards or something?
Something like that.
And he's like talking about Jussie and boy done lost his damn mind, and he and one of the things that a lot of people went, about was the fact that he used the phrase a waste of light skin or something like that.
Oh wow, a waste of light skin.
Yeah,
that sounds just like Chris Rock.
If you know Chris Rock though, you knew that a statement like that was coming.
Yeah.
But he was like, man, if I was light skinned like Jussie, my career would be out of here. My career would be like through the roof,
Yeah.
He roasted him. He fucking roasted Jussie bad.
Yeah, because he knew being black and gay is your protection card.
Yep.
That's all that was. If you black and you straight, yeah, Chris Rock said it the best. You already would be in jail. Already be in jail. The trial be in, and you be coming in handcuffs. That's why that man disgusts me like no other. Because I ain't worried about that, your sexual identity. I'm just mad that you used that to get yourself off of something that I know you did. And you making our people look bad behind that shit. And we got enough to fight the system in here trying to get the justice that we now all of a sudden we can't even be taken seriously anymore. And that pisses me off to no end. But
unfortunately, that's the case with just about everything. I mean, a few bad apples, and then everybody's like, oh well, that whole group is that way.
Yeah. What did that dude put up? He put up a picture of the Bandinos, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like what the hell's up with that, man?
I'm like, what the fuck,
It's just like, that's what all white guys are doing, right? They're all riding on motorcycles.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about a one of the quote unquote 1%er motorcycle clubs out there, and of course, not everything that they do is legit. Okay, that's why they're 1%ers.
Yeah,
but you know, it's and if they get caught at something, hell yeah, they're gonna find whatever excuse they can think of to keep out of jail.
Right.
But that's the case, and it don't matter who you are. You're gonna do your best to find something to stay the hell out of jail.
Especially if you're living the life of outlaw. Like, let's be real.
And the thing is, one of the things that might help, somebody like that's in that type of organization is, the organization that they're a part of is gonna dig into the treasury, and freaking, get the best representation possible, So I mean, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, and that's another thing that kind of pissed me off about that guy was, he like throwing that out there, like, oh, okay, I was like, I'm almost surprised he didn't throw up a gif of a clan meeting or something.
I mean, let's be real, you guys. Let's be real. Gangs comprised of mainly young black men can't afford these high representatives because of the lives they're already living. I mean, like I said before, I did my dirt back in the day. I can tell you that right now. I had money to be able to buy like 2-3 cars over. What did I do with that money? I spent it all on stupid shit. Why? Because I thought it was better to look cool and stuff like that back then, have all the new stuff and everything else.
Well,
but MC, they put their money collectively together. You know what I mean? Like, some of it gets split out, but mainly it goes to the treasury, like you said. And that's why they can afford it. And you know what I mean? Like, you could easily put something out there like that for a black gang member, but they more than likely don't have the money. You know what I mean? Like, that's just point blank.
No, well, like I said, me and you came from the same cloth, man. We grew up in our surroundings, in our urban surroundings, and basically when we came of age, what was it? It was all about money, girls, friends. That's it. And that's all it was, And I said when I spoke on John Talk, my childhood was shit from the get-go. But little bits of happiness here and there. But Star Wars has always been that thing that was my anchor. You understand what I'm saying? But I had to put that in the background. I didn't have the toys, and I had the baseball, the Star Wars cards and stuff, But I had to keep that in the back, man, because you can't be a nerd walking around here in Brooklyn, New York. You can't be in the inner city and just, no, you can't do that, man. I learned that lesson very early. But once, I came into my teens, I got with the right crowd, it was on and popping, but whenever I had to come back into my house, I, go into my room, I pull out my Star Wars cards and I become that little kid again. And that's it. And sometimes you need that in order to survive out there and what you're doing. My father was doing a 3 to 7, selling arms, and he was locked up for kidnapping, but all of this was the streets. But I couldn't have been out there the way that I wanted because everybody knew whose son I was. So I had to do my thing, my dirt on the sneak tip, being out here, being over there. I couldn't be out there just being out in the public eye. And then you had the real gangsters out there in the streets, and then we was coming up under them. So the ladies flocked over to it. It was a great time, but we gained nothing from it. Nothing. No, we ain't saved no money. We barely got out of high school. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And bad enough, I was skating on thin ice with these ladies anyway. I was worrying about having 2 girls pregnant, the whole bit. I mean, I went through it, Yeah. But by the time I finally got caught out there and had my oldest daughter, I just turned 20. So now I had to really reassess my whole life because my father was still locked up at the time. Then I'm discovering Islam at the same time. So my journey took from the streets to knowledge to back to the streets to working in a law firm. I had no business working in a law firm the way that I did. You know how I got in there? I got in there because a friend of mine worked there, and we just happened to just be chilling in the house eating Chinese food. And I just came out the street from hustling. I'm counting my money and everything. And he like, yo, how would you like to come to the job and work with me at this law firm? And I was like, don't you got to go here? And just, I said the same thing. He's like, nah, you can here, take a test and see how you do. Now, fortunately for me, I must have been bad at everything else, but I was always good at reading. That I excelled at. So I took the test. I scored the highest in the little class that was there with me. Then he called me back to do some sort of test that had to do with I guess multiple questions and some other forms of reading comprehension in terms of what would you do if such and so forth. And I did well enough to get called in the third time, and that's when he gave me the job. I was only 24. And from there, everything that I've learned about criminal justice, family court law, you know, parole revocation, prisoners' rights, federal cases. I've learned it from sitting at the feet of the attorneys who took me under their wing and read a book. I read the books. So for the 25 years that I've worked there, I never went to school for this. I applied myself. As poor as I am, I applied myself to get to where I needed to go. You know, I'm still struggling. You know, I'm still living paycheck to paycheck, but the gifts that I was blessed with, I can help people that's down and out. I can help people that's trapped up caught up in the system. That when I got to go to the prison sometimes and do counseling with the inmates, I'm able to be empathetic and understand where they're coming from, whether they came there by accident or of their own volition, you know, and that's real, man. So. And that doesn't even have nothing to do with black people. There's a lot of white people that I actually sit with, and I rub shoulder to shoulder with them, and their stories is similar to mine. That's how you know that this thing can't be about race, you know, and the whole white privilege, on a broader sense, it's not for everybody. You know, just like Shellback said, he's been poor and homeless. I didn't see nothing working for me. No. You know, when you poor, and that shit is universal. Universal. You know, and dare I say it, I don't even think I want to be rich. I do in a way, but as long as I'm poor and I'm living paycheck to paycheck, it keeps me humble. It keeps me, you know, sharp up here to know that my job ain't never gonna stop. But I would like my kids to have much better than what I have. But that's the role of any parent. So yeah.
I mean, as long as you know, yeah. I mean, I'm not. I'm not gonna say I want to stay poor, but you know, like, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to hit that lottery. You know.
Yeah, but, I'm trying to do the same thing too. Because I'm sitting up here like, but if I hit the lottery, woohoo, hitting the strip club, baby, let's go.
Yeah, but I mean, as long as you're financially well off to live quote unquote comfortably, you know, you know, that's what, you know, that's what matters, you know, as far as finances go. But I don't, and you know, now that we've talked about the topics that had brought us here for over an hour now.
Isn't that long?
I would, yeah, we've been, it says we've been streaming for 83 minutes. I would like to, well, this might be a loaded statement, but I'd like to talk about something a little bit more enjoyable, a little bit happier of a subject than, you know, what we have been. Star Wars.
Oh no! Oh,
Episode 9.
Oh no!
The rant is sitting up here like me. You know what, Angus? I actually caught your video. Your video about it. You seem to be optimistic about this. Angus?
Angus is on.
Yeah, no, I was listening. I just had had my mic muted just in case. Because I'm at work, you never know when this loud ass phone will ring, so I'm just being precautious.
Yeah, I saw your thing, and I was like, okay. And now I'm sitting up here like, I want you to hate this shit just like I did, but you kind of like rookie critic in that order. And shout out to rookie critic. I miss you, brother. Where you at? So. And you said pretty much you was trying to be optimistic about it, but it was almost like you was trying hard to like, I don't really want to like this, but I'm trying to give it the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, we had a really good live stream with varying opinions, varying degrees of opinions, with Mary especially and the Palpatine thing. Now I'm not falling for it. Like people are like, this is a sign, this is a big meta sign from JJ that he's trying to unite the fans. He's got Palpatine, who's more famous from the prequels really than the original trilogy, I would say, especially as an actor. But also with the mending of the helmet and the lightsaber, and I'm like, and the Death Star and all stuff. I'm like, hey, chill, cool your roll on that stuff, because they had Luke Skywalker tap out of the Force for essentially committing thought crime. Like Luke essentially contemplated what defines superheroes like Punisher versus Daredevil, where Daredevil or Batman or whoever, they don't kill the enemy with the question of mind, like, if I just kill him, it might save a lot more people, but that would lower my standard. And got Punisher will kill them. That's his standard. He's like, well, I'm going to squash evil when I find it. And that was the dilemma Luke Skywalker went through. That could have been really cool, but he taps out of the Force because of that decision. And I'm actually making a video about this point. That it is. That's why SJWs love this movie, is because Luke is guilty of thought crime. It doesn't matter what he did, all the deeds he did for the galaxy, he committed thought crime. So that's still I'm not a big Luke Skywalker fan. I'm a prequel fan. I've only come to like Skywalker as a written character because of the video essays from The Last Jedi. But I understand why he's a good character, why he's a role model in the history of film and literature. But just keep that in mind, where it's like, yeah. And the people that they're trying to, like the new fans that they're selling to, they're the soy boys who at one time hate the prequels for inconsistency, and then they think Last Jedi is cinematic gold, and they love that it like pisses on the prequel fans and stuff. And they're like, hey, that first line of Star Wars is like, this will begin to make things right. That's a big meta reference to the prequels, and like, hey, we're going to ignore that shit. And it's like, that could be the case. And so yeah, just I'm optimistic. It was a good trailer. It's brought back questioning. It's brought back theories. We're even though it's a bit tainted, but we are back to some degree of the Force Awakens, post Force Awakens intrigue. So that's why I'm optimistic. I said I'm about 65% sold on this trailer and what it can mean for Star Wars going forward. And I even said like, hey, I'm willing to say, if this movie does good, not really retconning Last Jedi, but going off of its threads that seemed to just destroy the lore of Star Wars and the magic, if JJ cannot just salvage the fandom, but salvage it with those plot lines and complete them, you can still hate Last Jedi, but it'll change your perception to some degree. And so you might contemplate owning that movie because of these very dour plot points actually became something beautiful thanks to JJ saving it. I don't know. It is a happy time. And they released the Jedi Fallen Order trailer. I just watched that. I'm not sold on that game, just because I got some prequel references. I'm not sold, but they're trying. I said this months ago to Jerry, like, hey, they're trying to get us prequel fans out. They're trying to mend the fandom. So, we
What about the original trilogy fans, though, bro? You just keep saying prequel fans, prequel. What about the original trilogy?
Okay, Rant, I say that because from the beginning with Force Awakens and before, when Disney got it, all they sold was, hey, here's a few new things or concept art or whatever, and here's fucking original trilogy. And it's like, if it was just original trilogy, I would not be a diehard Star Wars fan. I got into it because of prequels. And yeah, you can argue, and it seems kind of apparent, especially with Han Solo, they've tried to just like abandon the original trilogy or shove them out or whatever. but you know, I can at least be happy in some degree. It's like, hey, they're actually acknowledging my fandom besides selling me a repackaged Darth Maul is like the only thing they ever want to give us, you know. So there's just glimmers of hope, and there's glimmers of hope for just like the storyline. And I really think this Palpatine thing, it may just be a total fake out, and that it's just like a recording of him or some hologram. But if he is like reincarnate or something, I'm actually down for that. I think it's a really cool sell.
Okay. All right. I mean, I just couldn't bring myself to like that thing for all the principles that I laid out in my video, because I just felt like after that whole JJ interview, we already know that none of these people had a plan from the get-go. I was just winging it. You know, I just said it's choose your adventure. JJ and Lars Camden did a choose your adventure story. Ryan on the other side did a choose your adventure story, and nobody met up in the middle to make comparisons to like what made sense. But everybody did their own thing. Really, I thought JJ would have, at the very least, if he didn't meet this person, go meet him and see what the hell he put together. But because you made another interview talking about, I saw Rian Johnson's script and I love it, I wish I was directing it, then somebody's lying. Somebody, because if that was the case, you was in on it from the get-go. You just didn't expect to go back to be what it was. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh well, I didn't really know. I wasn't really asking to do episode 9, and did that. No, Colin Trevorrow was trying to do it, but then again, Colin Trevorrow was the director that we needed, but the one we didn't deserve. He saw the bullshit with what it was. He even told them, "Yo, don't kill Luke in episode 8. What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing?"
That's why I got fired. Yeah.
Yeah. So he confronted them. And he said, come on, man, I ain't in it for the bullshit right there. Slow your roll, homie. You're going to do what Kathleen says. And Kathleen, blizzy. I said, all right, whatever. I'm out. Fuck all y'all.
You're going to do what she says. KK.
Yeah. And that's my G right there. That's why he dropped that Twitter thing. Like, you know what? Whenever we get lost on something, we always refer to the lore and the fans. And that tweet alone made that man legendary. He basically played these idiots. He played the entire Lucasfilm staff, and these dumbasses didn't even have a clue they were getting this.
Hey, Abu, just for the whole panel though, because I'm not sure how all of y'all felt, but there was that poster leak. I was on board when I saw. I was like, this is a real poster, and people were like, no, it's fake. Look at that weird looking MIB alien, and it's like, dude, this is real. You know, it feels real. And then they just released some behind the scenes pictures with that weird looking alien by a Rebel pilot or something from the set or from filming. So it's like, ha, I was right. And this will really be a fun movie, or it's gonna just wreck everything worse than Last Jedi. So it's gonna be fun either way.
Been wrecked from the beginning, though, bro. I mean, the lazy writing started from The Force Awakens itself.
Yeah. JJ made it entertaining enough, but then
I mean, Rey having force powers by the end of the movie without doing any training, unless you're going to consider her force download power real, there's nothing else to really say about that. How could she do the Jedi mind trick without learning it from somebody? You can't do that.
What cracked me up about that celebration panel, because I'm sitting there watching the video on YouTube, and when JJ is sitting there next to Cray KK, talking about thanking Rian Johnson or whatever, because of I can't remember how he put it, but anyway, basically he's like, I'd like to, thank Rian Johnson because of, basically the movie wouldn't have happened the way it did without Rian Johnson doing what he did, and I was like, man, I bet he was choking on them freaking words.
Yeah.
It's like I'm like, JJ, not only is JJ like a director, but he's got to be at least somewhat of an actor, to be able to say shit like that.
Yeah.
And it's you know, I almost feel that, you know, he was just like, you know, it's like one of those backhanded freaking, you know, jabs or whatever at Ryan, you know, like a, you know, like a just a really subtle, you know, his subtle way of saying "f you," you know, to Ryan Johnson.
I would hope so.
Hey, Hallmark, this is what episode 9 is going to be. And you might, you know, utilize the whole as well as like, all right, this looks good, but it's hollow. It has nothing in it. All right. So, you know, take this as you may, but this is episode 9 and this is episode 8. All right. Looks better now.
I don't know about that.
I'm curious, Josiah, what did you think about that TV teaser trailer?
I honestly, for the most part enjoyed it. It was obviously a very blatant retcon of what Ryan Johnson did with episode 8, and really the whole trailer just really felt like Lucasfilm begging the OG Star Wars fans to come back and stuff. Everything about the trailer felt like that, but I enjoyed some of the things that they showed in the trailer. I like some of the different nods they have to the classic Star Wars type of stuff. So it's kind of a mixed situation for me, but I'm definitely more optimistic about episode 9 now than I was before the trailer dropped.
Damn, I feel like I'm the lone person that don't give a shit about that thing. I've
got mixed feelings on it too. I mean, you know, it was definitely the trailer was definitely good as far as a, you know, spectacle type of thing. You know, like the showing the visual effects and all that stuff. You know, yeah, it was great, but at the same time, it didn't really tell you shit about how the movie's gonna go.
See, I like that though, because you know,
I mean, other than the only thing that even remotely like hinted, you know, towards the plot or whatever, I'm trying to say, is when they're looking at the chunk of whichever Death Star it is, you know.
Yeah.
To answer Rant though, and this isn't me being a soy boy or any of that. I think we have a problem with the Fandom Menace of having our own SJW outrage, if you will. Like it's the reverse Flash. We got to be cognizant to not do that. To just be the equal and opposite. And with Rey and the whole download thing and the Force and training, think of it this way: at some point, someone had to have been the first Jedi, and it was just, you know, say a mutation, if you will. And so someone tapped into the ability. All right, so someone figured out Force tricking people without any training. All right, so like you think of it that way, and think of like you may not like the answers you get, but there's a way to explain all this, and her still be able to download ability. I really buy into, given what Ryan did with episode 8, which I did think was cool, but it kind of ruins the fun of Star Wars when you just blatantly tell the audience, hey, this fight's always going to go back and forth, light and dark, and you either got to stop it completely, fall out of it like Luke, or join up like the Reylo idea. But yeah, they can explain it right. They can explain it interesting. It's kind of like just a bigger version of Anakin, in my opinion. You know, Anakin was some bastardization of the Force. That was his creation, but you didn't learn how he was created, the Space Jesus narrative, until episode 3. We're on the episode 3 of this trilogy, so you know you might come around once you get the answer.
I get what you're saying, though.
I have no problem
with someone being the first Jedi. The Force was probably like teaching them to teach others. You get what I mean? Like, I don't think that like you can learn the Force completely on your own. Doesn't matter who you are or how powerful you are. The Force is the one that speaks to you. You don't speak to the Force. The Force gives you the connection. You don't own that connection.
Well, you know, like superheroes, there's a lot of times where like Superman and Man of Steel, he gets the heat vision. Like that, I don't think that heat vision power ever changed. His control, or like, you know, a lot of times your powers in these comics, they'll pop up out of desperation. So I mean,
I get what you mean.
The biggest part of it is, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, you know, you're just having a fit because she's a girl and all this stuff. No, we want that training montage. You know,
Yeah.
we don't want her sitting there on the damn in the torture chair, all of a sudden, you know, just getting this look on her face and going, "You will let me go." You know, well, you'll give me your gun. You'll let me go. You know,
yeah,
out of the blue. You know, it's like, what the hell? You know.
The thing is that, like, with The Force Awakens, the thing I appreciated about that film was that they gave things to Rey that kind of made it seem like they were setting her up to be someone important, someone special who had a special connection to the Skywalker line or something in some way.
Yeah.
And because of that, it felt like they were really going to be raising the stakes a lot with the sequel trilogy. And I was very, very excited about that by the end of The Force Awakens, because I was like, okay, Rey is obviously going to be a badass who's going to have a special connection with the Skywalkers or something. And because of that, they have to raise the stakes with the villains as well. And that's just going to give us a really, really awesome, like way more powers than we've ever seen in Star Wars and all of that stuff, way more uses of the Force and all of that cool stuff. And then obviously, you know, with the last Jedi, Snoke was killed like pretty easily. And then Kylo just continued to be a whiny little baby. So, so obviously, I mean, I feel like J.J. Abrams really had a very, very cool and specific vision for what he wanted to do with this trilogy, and he had a very cool vision for what he wanted to do. But then Rian Johnson just came in and completely derailed that entire thing.
Yeah.
Well, I liked TFA up until the point. Like I said, up until the point she pulled a Jedi mind trick out of her ass, you know, out of nowhere. That, and you know, her doing as well as she did against Kylo the very first time going up against him, when he's supposed to have all this much more experience wielding a lightsaber than she does.
Mm-hmm. He was trained. And he was trained by Luke. Never forget that.
And the fact that they had that stupid ass Star Killer base, you know, Death Star number 3.0. You know, it's like all of the resources that it took to make that place. They could have built the hugest fleet of Star Destroyers and everything else that the galaxy had ever seen, ever. And, you know, just run amok all over the galaxy, you know, and instead, you know, they build that damn thing. They blow up like half a dozen planets, and it's like, oh, we won. We're like this, you know, remnant of the Empire, but now we rule the galaxy. You know, it's like, no.
Yeah.
Well, Soyboys Jeremy has a pretty cool theory that Snoke is a puppet master. Like while Palpatine's clone is pulling the strings behind the scenes, Snoke is a clone that got deformed in the cloning process.
Oh my God, that would just be so convoluted. Listen, just call it for what it is. They fucked up. Nobody had a plan from the get-go. I mean, at least what Josiah is saying is like, okay, well, JJ made the film. He tried to set it up. But come on, JJ, get your story right. Either you met Rian Johnson and y'all had a conversation about the script and where it needed to go, or he's finished this script before you even met the motherfucker. Somebody is lying. Somebody is lying. So by the time
I gotta bow out.
What happened?
I gotta bow out now. I gotta go cook dinner.
Right on.
All right, man.
Go make some grub, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, cooking on the grill, guys. Cooking on the grill.
Ooh.
Better post pictures, man. Put it on Twitter,
you gonna invite me over, man?
I don't know. Can you make it to Massachusetts?
Well, I definitely appreciate you coming by, Rent.
Oh, thank you for having me on, bro.
Always see you, brother.
All right. See you guys later.
All right. See you, man.
Yeah, man. My God, do we have to make this any more harder than it is? Somebody is lying. I said this in my videos, I don't know, for a goddamn year. Something's not adding up. So what, JJ, you waited, you made your movie, you did the setup. Now you thought Ryan Johnson was going to look at your movie and adjust his script, you know, because Ryan Johnson wanted to see himself, be himself, and make a film about himself. That's all that was. He made a $200 million art house film that he pretty much premeditated that he was going to have half of the people like it and half the people hate it. If you watch the video, you knew what his intentions was. If anything that I judge people based off, it's their intentions. You had a thought long ago that that's where you wanted to go. And you had been blessed with the greatest property in the IP in the world, and you used it for your own purpose. And that's why that shit backfired. Yeah. Now, the Soy Boys and all these little young kids, and I noticed Raylos and all these other SDJ, you know, they like in the early 20s. You notice that they're in there. You may have little pockets of people that's in their late 30s and stuff, but the majority, you should see that they're very young people. They haven't even been born where the prequels are. The damn sure wasn't even thought of when the OT came out and all the books and the lore. So you didn't think, JJ, that Ryan Johnson would have just looked at your shit? Ha 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 ha! I'm not following shit. I'm doing my own thing. Did his own thing. Now, all of a sudden, the backlash is real. You will sit up there and lie, you and Kathleen and everybody, y'all lying. Everybody knows that people hated this shit. You made the money, but you made the money based off of the people going in there firsthand, seeing it, and then when they come out the theater, it's like, yo, son, do not see this movie whatsoever. But by that time, you already got to jump the international thing. You made your money, but you didn't make as much as The Force Awakens. But here comes JJ now. What did he say in that interview? Well, I didn't meet Ryan Johnson until, I know that there was some things that it was a challenge to us. That motherfucker, just say for what it is. We fucked up, and I'm trying to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, it's like what kind of business model? It's like what kind of business model is it for you to hire a director that once upon a time did an interview where he says that his goal in filmmaking is to make films where half the people walk out of the theater loving it and the other half walk out hating it. You know, it's like, and you hire somebody with that mindset to work on a franchise type of film. You know, it's like what that right there makes no sense from the get-go.
Well,
you know?
Shellback, I wanted to go back to a point you're making about the whole, like, oh, I liked Force Awakens until she did this.
Yeah.
With the what do you call it? Where she tells the guard, she mind tricks them, right? I want to put this in perspective, right? So, even if you hate it, I want us. Do you like the prequels, Shellback?
I love prequels. I'm a prequel lover.
I can get past all the smushy love story stuff from the prequels because I knew when they came out that it was going to be its backstory. The whole prequel trilogy is backstory to the OT. And I can appreciate, I'm a history guy. I love history,
Yeah.
So
to me, that's history. I just want us to be fair, all right? So a lot of people after the prequels are like, wait a minute. Not just the CGI and stuff that makes it look better, but like the technology from the prequels and the Republic going into the Empire seems greatly reduced in ability. All right. And so sort of, I don't know if they really push to explain it in the movies or in the books, but later on, especially in supplemental books that were like, talking about the canon, like just the films and stuff, somewhere they explain that TIE fighters, because you can see the similarity in like the glass and stuff in the build of who is it? The Jedi Starfighters in Episode 3. You can see the similarities in the TIE fighter. All right, and so the explanation kind of going back and be like, oh yeah, we didn't really explain that well. Their explanation was, well, the Empire based designs off of kill count, so they made poorly armored but fast ships to because the Jedi were so successful in them. They had such a great kill to death ratio. So they based it off of that stat and didn't take into account it was Jedi's piloting them. So that's why, plus being an Empire, they can just throw everyone at you and just swarm you. So eventually they'll win. So it's kind of like a Russia thing where it's like they built their machinery just off of minimalism and like the most efficiency, not necessarily the best quality. All right. So you got that. All right. And we generally accept that, even if we notice, on the film, you got like the stuff that came after is actually made in the 80s and stuff that came before is actually made now with CGI. And most people seem to accept that. All right. And so same thing has happened with Rey. In the book, they kind of like explain her Mary Sue says, say that she downloaded Kylo's ability. So when he
every time you say that, I just get
when he tried to, like,
I know kung fu.
when he tried to mind rape her in that torture scene, she downloads it. She gets like an access to his ability, and so that's why she can match him. You cannot like it. I'm not telling you have to like it, but there is explanations, and you just gotta wait for this third one to like really assess the product. That's what I'm saying. Like, let's be cautious. Let's see how it goes.
Now, Angus, if they don't address it, you know what's going to happen, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's all I needed to know. I know they're not going to address it. I know they're not going to address it because that part is very low on their to-do list. Their big to-do list is to make certain that the shit is at least coherent enough to get you to the end. That's it.
Well, the other thing I want to add is that in a way, they kind of Ryan solidified her Mary Sue status, at least in that film, not having 9 yet to maybe retcon it or make it a false sell or something that it was a lie from Kylo. Yeah. She's no one. Her parents are just junkers who sold her off. And Snoke said that like you lost to a girl that never touched a saber before, so it confirms she has no backstory, at least as we know so far. Mm-hmm. And
there's so much dialogue in both two movies that contradicts every. That's why.
Well, Snoke says that light rises, or like darkness rises and light to meet it. So it's kind of, to me, says like the Force is a duality that no matter, and it should. That's why I talk about that. Ryan's perception of like the kind of Eastern philosophy behind the Jedi and the Sith of like yin and yang. He made it very much where it's like it makes the fight meaningless. If you destroy the Sith, someone else is just going to pop up. If you destroy the Jedi, like when Luke leaves the Force, he left a void in the light. That's why Rey pops up. Yeah, but it's interesting, but it makes the whole battle kind of pointless. And so I'm expecting some sort of gray Jedi.
Yeah, I was about to say the Force has already been established long before Ryan even was breathing. There's the light and the dark. Ashland and Bota. Ashla is the light, Bota is the dark. It's already established. All of this it's already been talked about. The people that read the books and the lore. I'm sorry, the EU is canon. You're not getting away from that. Disney canon is nothing because they didn't really do anything with it. So nobody described a 30-year gap in which the First Order actually came into being. Y'all had Chuck Wendig, Blackness, bitch. he goes in here, makes a stupid-ass novel about a ragtag people that nobody gives a fuck about that stumbled under Palpatine's contingency plan to take over the galaxy. Meanwhile, JJ already got Palpatine waiting in the wreckage of the Death Star, coming up on episode 9. And I said this before, and I'll say it again. If you bring back Palpatine as a living, breathing person, it disrespects the entire arc of Anakin Skywalker and his redemption. You basically disrespected George Lucas on the low, like you don't think nobody's not going to see it. He died. He fell in the shaft. Anakin is the chosen one, because it feels like to me, and I looked at that trailer twice again, and I said, no, they are not going to do this shit on a sneak tip. They're going to try to make it seem like if Rey is a Skywalker or a Solo, because she can't be a Skywalker, because if she's Luke's daughter, then that's going to contradict the Force Awakens when she said, Luke Skywalker, I didn't know he was alive. I thought he was a myth. How are you going to know your own father was a myth if you were related to him? So there goes that little premise. But I digress. Now you're going to make this chick the one to actually end put the balance, put the Force back in the balance. That's what what I'm thinking, and I pray to God they're not going to do nothing like that. But I wouldn't put it past Disney Star Wars to do any of it, to connect it to the prequels. Remember, they're trying to connect shit to the prequels. What did the prequels say? The Chosen One, the prophecy that the Chosen One will come and bring balance to the Force. You believe it's this boy? No, they're going to try to make it this girl.
Well,
that's what I'm afraid of. That they're going to try to make it this girl, have Palpatine come back. She's going to fight him, save the day. The balance has finally been won. No.
Well, see, I have two theories off of this. One, so with episode 3, you learn that either Plagueis or Palpatine figured out, to some level at least, to manipulate midichlorians, and so Anakin is that bastard creation that just poofed somewhere else in the galaxy they weren't aware of. And
no, I already made it plain in my thing. Darth Plagueis is canon. Plagueis,
he's canon. He is canon.
What I said in that stream on 3PO, that's exactly what it is. I'm not budging from that. James Luceno said it perfectly. The midichlorians and the Force itself retaliated and created Anakin as the conduit that will bring balance to the Force. You cannot manipulate the midichlorians to the level that Darth Plagueis did to try to create a sentient being and then use the midichlorians, because remember, the midichlorians and the Force are basically the same. The midichlorians are the conduit to how the Force works. So the Force is that spiritual energy and this, that, whatever, but they have a conduit that's in your blood cells that tells you whether you could be a badass Jedi or not. At least George Lucas put an explanation to his creation, how he wanted things to go. I'm rolling with George Lucas. I'm not rolling with JJ. I'm not rolling with Ryan or none of these idiots. That man that created this whole thing, I'm rolling with whatever he has, how stupid it is or how idiotic it is. If he created, it's his story. He has the right to do whatever the fuck he want with it. So if he says it, he told James Luceno to write it like that, James Luceno put it together, that's what I'm rolling with. Anybody else that goes behind that is a fraud.
I can agree, but given that they hint that it was either Palpatine or Plagueis, because it's kind of vague, if Palpatine was aware of this and he was trying to do this, whether he created Vader or not, or it was Plagueis or it was the Force in response to them, who's to say that when Vader defeated the Emperor, that Palpatine didn't figure out some sort of Sauron type of preserving himself in some item, and that he's been trying to come back like in The Hobbit. That's what I'm
sorry.
thinking.
Well, let's go to the EU. Let's see. What books have we got? Dark Empire. Yeah, let's look at that, because I know JJ. All right, EU. Yeah, because it's not canon. We don't give a fuck about it. But let's look at the books for a little bit. What? Clone, his spirit essence survived the fall, and then it was floating in the galaxy. And yeah, we could use this. Yeah, that sounds nice, man. And then we could put a clone into him, and then his energy and the spirit goes into the... Perfect. It's perfect. We don't have to think too hard on this. If your body exploded, that means you're dead. Now, Palpatine, he's not even Palpatine. He's Darth Sidious. That's his true name. Darth Sidious survived the fall based off of his knowledge and energy, dark side energy. His dark side, and we have books that talk about how the incorporeal and the metaphysical, the dark side energy can actually exist and live, but you need a host to go into it. They told stories about that. Palpatine did the same thing, but they talked about it in the Dark Empire novels. They did all of that already. And I know JJ, and I said to myself, my God, you ain't got a creative bone in your body. Everybody pick and choose whatever they want to use for the EU. And I said to myself, if you're going to have Palpatine come back, you're either doing it one or two ways. You're either going to make him a hologram in the holocron, teaching somebody, or whoever else. He may teach Kylo, we don't know. But whoever else is there, if he's either a holocron, or he's real life. if he's real life, you're pretty much disrespected George Lucas and what he put together for episodes 1 through 6. There's no other way around it. There's none. Because I'm assuming that JJ thought that Snoke was gonna live to 9. Because that was the plan, right? JJ looked at the shit and like, wait a minute, he killed Snoke? There goes my big baddie. So now I gotta come up with something comparable to being the main antagonist because you had none. Well, who can I get? Who can I get that could bring the OT and the prequel people together? Palpatine. That's a no-brainer. Come on.
So even if say from the way it sounds from that trailer, Palpatine is making a comeback in some form or fashion, and just say that he does come back in physical form as a clone. They
did that already in the EU.
I know, but you'd have an objection to him being a clone?
No, I have an objection to them using the EU to cherry pick what they want to do without having a real competent story going forward for all 3 movies. You're basically just you're not writing a brand new story. You're just putting new characters and putting your agendas mixed in with it to push something that you thought that the other 2 directors would follow behind you. But when said director for 8 said, fuck you, I'm doing my own thing, and the said director of episode 9 said, listen, I want to follow something competent that we can utilize Luke Skywalker to the best of our ability, and you just shitted all over my views on that, so I left. So you had nothing. Meanwhile, JJ was doing his own thing, and then when he found out to the extent of the damage, because how do you fire somebody from doing Solo when 80% of the film was already done, have Ron Howard come in, redo the whole shit, and then it failed. Meanwhile, the people that you fired goes off and do Spider-Verse, and now they get an Academy Award. Makes no fucking sense, right? Yeah, absolutely.
I guess what I was saying is like, from what you're saying, it sounds like you would have a problem with Palpatine surviving the blast or, surviving the fall down the shaft.
Yes.
And still coming back, living, breathing person.
Yep, I would have a major problem because that respects Luke.
Like, I guess what I'm asking is, him being dead, but he does come back in physical form as a clone of himself. Would that still wouldn't work for you or what?
Well, the EU already did it, and the story behind that is Luke, fell to the dark side somewhat to want to learn exactly why and how Palpatine became as powerful that he was, and he was only saved from falling into the dark side forever by Princess Leia, who helped bring Luke back. And then they found a way to destroy Palpatine once and for all, and then that was it. But at least Lucas signed off on the fact that these novels was made. But I just still felt like, how could you just, like I said, being that the EU is not canon no more. Okay, then I'll go back to the original 6 movies. If Anakin is the chosen one, which he was, and Lucas made it so because he said it in many interviews, Anakin is the chosen one. He was the one that brought balance to the Force. He had to take a bad detour in order to get there, but he got there through the love of his son. That's why I can't co-sign to the madness that if Ryan did all of this, and JJ, you had to have known that it didn't fit what the setup that you were sending. You didn't think that just at the very, all right, you can't badmouth him in the press, fine. But the extent of the damage that he did creates a very almost no-win situation for you. That's why he did the interview that he did. He's covering his own ass just in case this shit falls sideways. And in some respects, it is. It really is. Unbeknownst, and I was hoping for hope. But then you had Mary Sue do Mary Sue things, doing backflips over to the TIE fighter and all this other funky shit. After a while, it's going to be like, okay, well, I wasn't really invested in the characters anyway, so why should I care?
here's one thing. Here's one thing about Ray's Mary Sooness that, like, if they would have just explained it, like I do I do tabletop gaming, and we do Star Wars stuff. And if for anybody who doesn't know what tabletop stuff is, just think of D&D, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Anyway, one of the abilities that you can have when you're playing a Force user in the RPG, the tabletop RPG, is suppression. So basically, you being a Force user, you can suppress somebody else's memory, including another Force user. You can use that power of suppression to make them forget certain things, if not everything.
Okay.
And if they had like explained that Ray had basically been hypnotized or whatever, by another Force user, if she had gotten the suppression put on her, then that would explain that why she couldn't remember being Force sensitive, or any of the other stuff that they've left unanswered.
You're right. That should have happened in 8. Everything that you just said, Shellback, that should have happened in 8. So while she was at the island with Luke, all of that could have came out. And then the knowledge of knowing that she's either a solo or what have you, being that we had to separate both her and Kylo because we didn't want to have the same thing, that we didn't want to have the problems that when Leia and Luke was separated, that Snoke could have found out and used one against the other or used them both towards the dark side. I could have bought that, because that would have went in hand to the whole thing with the prequels and to the OT. I could have went with that, but no. They just basically just had Kylo and her Force touching each other. Then they download the abilities. And then Snoke said, that chick never hold the lightsaber, but yet I was the one that put them together, having them Force touching each other and such. I'm the powerful being in the universe, and I can't be betrayed. I know the lightsaber is sitting by my side of the chair, but I cannot be betrayed. I know exactly what you're gonna do. And then all of a sudden, look what happened. He became the man that he used to be, and then that was it.
Another thing that's kind of sad about TLJ is that there's all kinds of young people out there running around now thinking that when you touch fingers, you're having sex.
Finger banging.
Oh my God. I can imagine. You know what? I'd be the worst finger banger of all time. I'll meet a girl. Hey girl, how you doing? Can I touch your finger for a second?
Hey, Shell,
I can't believe that Ryan Johnson actually like equated that to like a sex scene or something. It's like,
how could you not, Shell? How
what
could
the
you
hell?
not? Luke squeezing titties.
well,
Yes,
Shell,
baby.
Shell,
Squeezing
I
it hard.
have a point about that. So, clearly, Ryan was making that romantic.
Hold on. Before you get going too much, I would just like to announce to everybody that I can officially die a happy man now. That Abu Nas has done his green titty milk sucking impression on my stream. Okay, okay.
I'm glad I was able to make your dream come true, brother.
Abu just turned me into a fanboy right there.
Well, what I was going to say about Raylo is, I said when they released that first artistic poster for Celebration, where it's like split down the middle with Luke and Vader and the light and the dark characters, and Padme's at the center. Clearly, Padme is related to Vader and Luke, but perpendicular to that, even with Padme on left and right, is Rey and Kylo. And I said back then, like, they're related somehow. this is a sign that they're related. So this diffuses Raylo. And what's funny about that is that means that episode 8 copied episode 5, not just on a lot of settings that are similar with like the rebels running away from the new empire, and like the Hoth scene being mimicked and all that, but also they mimic the incest implications of their relationship.
Holy shit! So they're Targaryens after all. Hell yeah!
Well, no, I'm saying it's funny because I think this movie's going to say that Rey is somehow a Skywalker. Maybe Anakin as Vader sired someone.
No,
they could write that, you know, if his penis wasn't burned off.
Not like that.
If his penis was not burned off, or if he had testicles and somehow extracted his semen, you can say that or whatever. But yeah, it's just funny. It's just funny.
I know Josiah's sitting up there like.
I hope we get a scene about that. That's all I hope now.
He had asbestos bloomers. Yeah.
Vader penis.
Josiah, don't do that. I was drinking my drink. Don't do that.
But no, that's a possibility. Like I'm seeing this as like, you know, everyone's like, oh, is she like a daughter of Luke or Leia, and somehow they had their mind wiped when this happened and separated or whatever. But no, I really think that, you know, if they don't make her a Palpatine clone, or maybe Palpatine preserved himself somehow and it was like an inverse where he became like a female light side user or something. I don't know. Yeah, all sorts of ways you can do that. But I really feel like I was predicting that the way they fix this is Gandalfing Luke, that the Force sees this void in the Force that Rey is making up for, and they spit him back out until
Please, God, let him do that. If you're going to steal from anything, steal from the Lord of the Rings. Just bring Luke back. That's the only way you're going to get me in the theaters.
Well, see, yeah, I didn't know. I don't know about EU stuff, and I am against them. Like, I don't care about the EU necessarily. When they made it Legends, it's like, what's the point of reading it now? It doesn't count. But it's artistic theft, in my opinion, to say this isn't canon anymore, but then cherry pick from it to write new stories that you don't credit the original authors for. You don't credit Lucas for guiding over it, and then the authors. So it's like when you learn about it, it's like 2 or 3 steps down the road where it's like, oh yeah, that's from the EU, and so it's like people are going to read and watch these new products and not see the original stuff that it came from. So it's like it's stealing money from these authors that could be selling new editions of their book, new prints.
That was the ability. If you're gonna steal, I mean, because obviously y'all did a shit job creating things. So if you're gonna do that, why don't you just adapt the EU? That it would have been much simpler, because you got a whole bunch of a generation that didn't read these books. It would have been perfect. Shit, you adapted Game of Thrones; those are from books, and everything was good. Everything was perfect.
Do you know how much money? Do you know how much money they would make by re-releasing all those books?
Shit. You know what? Adapt it, because the 30-year gap or what have you. Why don't you just go straight to the legacy of the Force? Well, you could have went there. You had Jason Solo, because face it, Kylo Ren, for us that read the EU, we knew exactly who he was from Force Awakens. Ben Solo, he's not Ben Solo. That's Jason Solo. That's Jason Solo. He's the poor man's Jason Solo. He had a twin sister named Jaina. They had a little brother named Anakin. He fell to the dark side and he called himself Darth Cadus. Okay, you followed like JJ. Don't think thinking we stupid. Like the people that read the EU would have made the correlation to why he's in the dark side, and it's like, oh, so they just jumped the whole process of how Jason Solo was listening to the words of Lumia, who's the lady of the Sith, but had a relationship with Luke way back in the day. And then, you know, all her whispering and all her thing to push Jason Solo to the brink of wanting to be a Sith like his grandfather, because he felt that in order to bring order, I have to step into that realm. So that's pretty much what but Kylo Ren is a little bit of an emo little bitch, like Josiah said, crying all the time, daddy issues, you know. But the same premise was there. He's a badass Force user. JJ made him look badass in The Force Awakens. He did. General Hux. I said it from the jump. I ain't give a shit about none of these characters. The one character that I liked was General Hux.
Oh yeah.
I love that dude in Force
And they
Awakens.
turned him into a joke in the next movie.
Turned him into a bottom bitch, a punchline.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
That is why Kylux is worked. It's so beautiful. It is so brave. It's so brave that such a powerful man will succumb to the reality of his stature.
Yeah.
Man.
The thing is though, like if they ever tried to bring Luke back, into physical form, the one person that we could thank for that, if they decided to do it, is Mr. Dave Filoni, because of him coming up with the whole the world between worlds thing. Because if you noticed in that trailer, they had Luke say, nobody's ever really gone.
Yeah, I looked at that statement and I kept trying to repeat it in my head. Nobody's ever gone. So
you know what? I think that is a reference to in episode 8. One of the things that makes Leia look really shitty is which I don't like Leia's character. Like, I get why people like her and stuff, but I've never liked her. I'm a Darksider, and I feel that she embodies what people assume about Captain America being a goody two-shoes and just being good for goodness sake and gosh golly and all that. That's how I see Leia. That's why I don't like her compared to Padme, who has like a range to her where it's like, she's kind of a gray character where she's part of the Republic and a senator and married to a Jedi in secret who's a light side guy, but then she contemplates when the Empire comes up to become a separatist. And she probably would have, and maybe pushed Naboo to the separatist movement before she dies. And that's really interesting. But with Leia in episode 8, she just like gives up on Kylo. She's like, he's going out there and she thinks he's really there. And so Leia says something like, oh yeah, he's already gone. And so she's pretty much saying like, yeah, go kill him.
Yeah, because in episode 7, she told Han, bring our boy back.
Yeah, and so I feel that reference is it could be a lot of things, but I really think it's something to like relate to Leia just giving up on him, and then Luke saying like no one's ever really gone, that you can always bring him up, because that's like what makes Luke a great character, is that he had the hope in his evil genocidal father to bring him back, that he had the glimmer of light, and Kylo clearly has a glimmer of light to him because of the whole narrative of him being like pulled by the light and stuff. He's trying to like suppress that.
Right. It was right there. And Ryan fucked it up. Buddy.
Oh, dude, that's one of those things though. It's like, you got freaking Luke, who is willing to risk everything, like including his own life, to bring back his father back to the light side after, because even though they didn't say it in the original trilogy, there was plenty of time to for Luke to have known the history, or learned the history of Darth Vader and all the crap that he did, killing the kids and everything like that. And yet he was willing to do whatever it took to bring him back to the light side.
Yep.
But yet he gets an inkling that Kylo, or Ben, as he knew him at the time, they're like, oh, he's gonna start going down that path.
I had to go Norman Bates on that motherfucker.
I better kill him. Really? That is no. That's one of those things right there. It's like, the Luke. That's my biggest problem about number 8. That the way they portrayed Luke, is I don't give a damn who you are. It's like, I mean, we've all had our freaking, depressing moments and whatnot, but the Luke the Luke of the original trilogy, no way in hell would have ended up like the freaking episode 8 freaking get off my lawn freaking hermit, you know?
Yeah.
No way.
He's
no
a bum
way.
that just didn't want to be with nobody. He was done. He said the Jedi brought it on himself. That Darth Sidious claimed. Where did Ryan have the goal to write stuff like that? But you know what? I digress.
Thank you.
We've come back to episode 9. I'm hoping, and like I said, don't bring Palpatine back alive to have Rey kill him, and then now all these little kids is gonna run around talking about, so Rey was the balance of the Force, she was the chosen one, I told you Rey was the greatest of all times, and I'm not even gonna even try to hear that. But if they bring Palpatine back as a holocron, I can roll with it. If they know that Luke Skywalker is already, and this is gonna really hurt me, and I'm still not seeing the film behind it. There's nothing you can do to salvage Luke Skywalker, just the way you can't even do anything to salvage Han Solo, you know, and that's a problem for me. That's a problem for me because you're basically what Rey did in the Millennium Falcon when she pulled the chip out. I bypass security. That's pretty much what you're doing. There's for us that's been here since '77.
I bypass the compressor.
For all of us that bought the books, for all of us that stood on lines, camped out for months to see these wonderful movies, for us that taught our children the things that we loved as a kid and have them jump on board, for us that did all of that and lived and breathed this franchise, gave money that built Lucasfilm into the powerhouse that it is today. And you think that to honor the heroes that we loved in our youth, like that couldn't have been something that you could have made a priority, that the new characters that you wanted us to love so much, that pretty much didn't have no character development between the two films, and now all of a sudden you're going to try to cram everything that you can in this, and you didn't think that we didn't get a proper goodbye for Han, we damn sure didn't get a proper goodbye for Luke. So what is left? The chop and paste up, images of Leia. She's gone too. It's almost like my heart has been ripped out. And now you showing me something that you want to just flash a little smile on your face, talking about, yeah, see, we're doing it right. Can you come back and pay your money for us? No, I can't do it. I can't do it off of principle. No matter how this thing turns out. We caught hell for 1.5 years behind The Last Jedi and how we broke this shit down, and people called us misogynist, racist. We scared of women, JJ included. Now he's smiling up there in Star Wars Celebration, laughing and giggling. Half of these fucking people that went there to the celebration, he was basically calling y'all all types of shit, and now all of a sudden y'all conveniently forget it. Just being up there, just happy to be a part of something. Then you finally see the trailer. Trailer don't really show you anything, but now you get, and I told you in my videos, don't get too caught up in the moment. But you got caught up in the moment. Now you seen Rey. Now she got the Anakin lightsaber that they put back together after they destroyed it. But I digress. You go through all of that to tell me what? I'm a realist. I don't like people getting in my face, disrespecting me for so long. Then you want to turn around and talk about, you know what, you need to come to the theaters and pay your money because this is going to be the best thing ever. Is it? I didn't hear that. Hey, you saying something like that to me to want me to bring me and my money to the theaters. You already got your demographics. I mean, bad enough, the panels was like cis, gender, that, LQ2, pride. You already know what type of people you want to attract. That's fine. The white straight males, the black straight males, the Indian straight males, y'all not worried about us no more, which is fine. We're getting old. We know that. We know that. But don't think that you're going to usher us off into the ether without a fight. I'm going to fight for this. I'm going to tell people, don't fall for the bullshit. If you want to go see it, pay. It's, as people was telling me, pay your ticket to go see something else and sneak in the movie.
Hell yeah.
Don't support these people out of principle. It's the principle of it. I know what YouTubers got to do reactions and this, that, whatever. Shit, I do my reaction, but I told people in a heartbeat, bootleg that shit. You'll never catch me. My days of paying IMAX 3D or Star Wars movies is over. It's over. So what I do, I circumvent the system. Shit, I was doing that with the sequel trilogy all along. I'm just jumping on the bandwagon. I'm going to see what I need to see, make my assessment from that, but you will never see another dime from me.
Yeah, Abu, you were saying something earlier. I had to mute and replay on the computer to see what it was that keyed me for the stop. But it's something that is at least with Ryan, if not just Star Wars story group and stuff, including Pablo, who's been there for years with George Lucas. So I don't get why this would get cleared. The whole storyline of Lucas or of Luke Skywalker saying like, oh, the Jedi failed because of their own hubris and so it's like, no,
I hated that line.
He totally missed it. All right, so yes, the Jedi were their own demise, but it wasn't because the Order or like this is the thing. It's like I like the idea Ryan put forward with the duality as opposed to balances, like the good guys win. I like that, but the way he did it was so nihilistic. It's devoid of any hope.
Thank you.
Compared to what it's supposed to be, mimicking Eastern philosophy of yin yang or Buddhism, where it's like, hey, conflict is unavoidable. Conflict is just a fact of life. What it amounts to is the Joker versus Batman decision based on how you react to that conflict.
Okay,
that's what defines you. All right, and so the Jedi were not failures. As like a society, they were light side devotees, and you can argue if you should be devoted to one side. That polarity is the problem. That's interesting, and that that's a real question to ask.
But I think Yoda found out
because Qui-Gon, was like this kind of gray Jedi. He kind of bent the rules and all this, so he's kind of not a straight edge Jedi.
But he was a big component on the universal on the universal force.
Yeah, and the Jedi failed when they didn't stick to their rules, when they're like, oh, you know what? This kid's power level is so high from birth. He's got so much raw potential. Yeah, let's bend the rules and bring him in because we got to beat the Sith. That's why they fail. That's why the Jedi Order was destroyed.
I think Yoda found out the hard way when he fought Darth Sidious that the Sith was able to adapt. They adapted to their surroundings. They adapted for the whole millennium that they was in hiding. They adapted to everything that went on with them. With the Jedi, it wasn't like that. But at least Yoda still dropped great knowledge and wisdom on Anakin. I'm not faulting Yoda for 800 years of the things that he taught other Jedis to be Jedis to teach other Jedis the same craft. He told Anakin, it's okay. You got to let this go. Rejoice at them transforming in the Force. The shadow of greed. He said, careful when you sense the future. He said, you must try to let go everything you fear to lose. And Anakin, that's good knowledge, but it couldn't apply to Anakin because he was already in love. He's married. He has babies on the way. And the only thing Yoda could tell me is that I gotta let my wife die. Like I couldn't save my mother. That shit couldn't fly with Anakin.
Yeah.
He didn't know. His way out until he saw Darth Sidious drop the knowledge on Darth Plagueis. That's how he hooked him.
See, another thing with lore and that I want, it's not me saying that, hey, you got to accept this or whatever and like it, but it's like there are explanations. They even if it's like them blindly writing shit they want and not actually looking at lore, they're able to make it work just from like kind of easy reflection on the saga, not the E or any of that, but the saga. All right, so think about this. If you think about Plagueis as the backstory for Palpatine, he was only training with Plagueis for, let's guess, at most 50 years before he became Supreme Chancellor and stuff. And then he, usurped him because the rule of two. He's always the Sith are always power hungry and perfecting through harsh evolution. You compare that to Yoda. Sidious kicked Yoda's ass with, let's say, 50 years of training in the dark side, compared to Yoda's 800 years of being a Jedi and master. All right. And so when you say like we need ready to train? How can she do all this without training, or she hasn't been doing this long? And she beats Kylo, who's had all these years of it with Luke and Snoke and whoever else he's sparred with and whatnot, and defeated. That's reasonable thinking, and I'm not saying that's dumb or I'm not being Ryan Johnson about it, but there are things in the saga, in just the film canon, that are references of like your training and time and service does not matter. Anakin, the Jedi are kind of like Spider-Man. They have a sort of spider sense in multiple ways with like premonitions and stuff, and like they can sense other Force sensitives. They can sense danger. Maul, or not Maul, but Mace Windu did not sense the betrayal from Anakin, because the Jedi, at least the leaders of the Jedi, started becoming arrogant. That's another reason why they lost.
He did say some Jedis were arrogant.
Yeah, and so like you cannot like what's going on, just like the original trilogy. People can hate the prequels for what they added to the lore, but it's there, and that's such from the creator, and so you can extrapolate that to at least make sense of what's going on in the sequel trilogy.
Okay, I hear you. I just think it really went.
Guys, I'm gonna have to bounce here. So it was great talking to all of you. A lot of great conversations. I have
I gotta sub to your channel, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna check out your channel too, man. So
yeah, I really like what you said about the whole the Smollett thing and everything, man. So it was really good chopping up.
Yeah, really good conversations. So
yeah, I appreciate you. Like I said, I appreciate you coming by and hanging out with us little people.
I know.
Well, whenever I have time, I definitely will. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. So
yeah, Joe, really quick. Maybe before you go live, really quick tomorrow, I just want to like pick your brain for like 10 minutes or something about during the mark for the subs, and I'm over half with the time now, so I just want to pick your brain about a couple things to get some insight going forward, because I got a project that I need to start funding to be able to like build it further. So
okay, wait, a live stream tomorrow? Is this something?
No. I was just asking, maybe before or after, if you have time, if you could hit me up and we could
gotcha.
talk for like 10 minutes or something.
Yeah. Let's do that. Sounds good, man.
Cool.
Awesome. You guys have a great night. I'll talk to you later.
Right.
Okay, Joe.
Thanks for coming by.
Yep.
Take it easy.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Angus. I just really just didn't like the way they just. I guess in hindsight, how they just really made this thing progress, and it just feels so disjointed.
Yeah. They've winged it, and they're just lucky that it's able to be reasoned out from the lore overall, or at least have a precedent in the EU.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Well, I'm trying to remember. I think it's just kind of stemmed out from that all the episode 9 trailer stuff, and somebody was showing that TIE fighter, and it's like, oh, it's this kind of TIE fighter, that kind of TIE fighter, but anyway, somebody put something up about Ahsoka, and I said, if it was me, I probably would have, turned out like Ahsoka, or like I would want to be the type that Ahsoka became. Because she left the Jedis, but she's still like a light side person. She's pretty much like as they left it, with Clone Wars and Rebels. She's basically a gray Jedi, because like what was it? I'm trying to think whether it was season 2 or something like that of Rebels, and she pulls out her twin lightsabers, and somebody says Jedi, and she's like, I'm no Jedi, and it's like my thing with the Jedi and stuff is like, I can't remember who it was, but anyway, my reply basically was like, the Jedi, to me, the Jedi was like kind of like a Catholic priest,
Yeah, no, it's definitely
as you know, in the fact that they, in order to join the priesthood, you have to, you can't be married. You have to give up on having sexual relations and all this other stuff. Basically, you have to you have to turn yourself into an island, to better serve God, or the Force or whatever. And to me, that's one of the things that where the Jedi messed up was, they basically forced you, into that lifestyle, and a lot of people either became failed Jedi or turned to the dark side or whatever because of that, and that's what happened to Dooku. That's what happened to Anakin, and it's to me that whole philosophy or lifestyle or whatever is one of the things where they shot themselves in the foot,
Right.
as where the Sith didn't.
Yeah, it's kind of a duality of like extremes religiously. So one thing that religious, at least Judeo-Christian, and I include Islam in that, see with like atheism, they fear is that, you don't want accountability morally on anything. You just want pleasure, and not be told anything's bad. It's not really that, at least from my view, and how I've become an atheist and how I still live and appreciate religion, even though I disagree with, kind of core tenets that make me fallen now, if you will. You have the extreme they see with atheism as it's just like, I don't want to believe, I don't want to have to not sin or whatever. It's not really that. It's you can be how would I put it? Like there's an extreme with like, say, like the monastic calling in those religions, and reflected kind of in the Jedi, where it's like we have to abstain from all emotion investment wherever we can. We have to give up, we have to sacrifice everything, and to try to transcend. And then the other extreme is like you could say like LaVey Satanism is complete hedonism as much as possible within the confines of society. Those are two extremes. It's like somewhere in the middle. And so, they could have done something with like Luke making the new Jedi Order and him being married, which I guess has happened in the EU and stuff. So it's like finding a middle ground.
Yeah,
I think is what is interesting. Trying to
that's what I liked about the one of the things I liked about the books was that 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 Leia, geez, that Luke and Mara Jade got together, became a couple, had kids, unlike like if the Jedi Order would have been going strong at the time when Luke came along, that never would have happened, because they were like, they would have been like, oh, okay, you're gonna be in the Jedi Order, you're never gonna get married, blah blah blah, so.
Yeah, I see it as like there's this book that I read before. I need to reread because I want to make a 2-part project about reflecting on the book and how I relate to it, and then kind of follow up with like my differences with the book's author regarding religion and Catholicism. But in Catholicism, especially accentuated by Francis, there's this huge political divide. It doesn't quite match up necessarily with like American politics, but think of it as conservative versus liberal. There is the traditionalist side, and they're all about like a centralized government and uniformity, which makes more sense to me. And then you have the liberal living document type of perception of Catholicism, and that can refer as well to like politics and government and stuff. And I think we're having it in the fandom as well. Clearly, it's schismatic with The Last Jedi, definitely, but it's kind of like that with the Sith and the Jedi, I think, in some sort of way. I can't quite delineate it, so maybe Abu can build off that, or Hallmark can.
Actually, I'm feeling you on that. I'm of the mindset now where I guess with everything that you said, you should have been actually writing this sequel trilogy. At the very least, you would have, being the prequel lover like I am, you would have at the very least connected the prequels to the OT, to how on a level in which, if you want to be inclusive and progressive, that's the perfect way to do it. Without, creating any types of division and and people got to choose between which gender should have more of this and which, it's just really sad, just the way that they came about this whole sequel trilogy and how they placed these 3 movies. It's just a waste. I can't watch The Force Awakens knowing that I have to skip The Last Jedi to see what happens in episode 9. It just feels so disjointed, but that's the world we live in, I guess.
No, I agree. I definitely agree. But I'm open. I'm kind of coming around to like Chris Knight, who we were introduced with Mary, with him being a Last Jedi defender, and his perception to kind of quickly explain himself. He said, "I'm the Republican that voted for Bill Clinton." He's like, I see something in the Last Jedi, and part of it is my predictions from the threads that I think are cool. So it's kind of fan fiction in his head that is making him hopeful and like the Last Jedi, but he's open to being like, hey, episode 9, how it plays out could make me hate the Last Jedi just like y'all, but for different reasons. And I'm like the inverse of that, where it's like I am adamantly against the Last Jedi and what it opened spiritually for Star Wars, and how it presented the yin yang idea and stuff, especially. But I'm open. If JJ cannot just make a good movie on its in its own little universe, but it reflects off of the threads that were, shifted from The Last Jedi and stuff. Like someone said, we were talking about this yesterday. It's like, hey, I love episode 1 and 3, but I don't like 2, even though the story's built off of that. And he's like, okay, I can get that, but it's like, I think we need to be open. And I feel really weird, after this trailer and the response, because it's still very, people kind of entrenched in their camps, where it's like a lot of fan ministers are like, oh, Star Wars is still dead and this and that. And it's like, yeah, they definitely play the nostalgia thing still with the Leia song in the trailer, but I saw a lot of intrigue there. I'm back to some degree to the Force Awakens era of like hope and intrigue, and it's not all negative. Most of it isn't negative actually from this trailer, despite the panel, despite the culture they're building at Lucasfilm. And I'm just, it's kind of like the whole Alita thing. It's like where it's, I think a big push for that movie on our camp that went was so much tied to boycotting and giving the bird to Captain Marvel. And I think we need to, step back from it. We can't be the SJWs of our half of fandom. We can't be outraged. We can't just be against it for the sake of being against it. We got to be open. We need to be open to Star Wars being enjoyable and not just giving up on it. And so that's where I'm at.
Well, and the thing is, I think us just being here is proof that like we're not giving up on it. We're calling a spade for sure, but we're here because we do, care about this particular, film series and the books and everything else, the whole Star Wars thing. And when somebody's accepting subpar stuff and they're just not getting it in our eyes, and you do kind of get a little flustered.
Yeah, that's true. But it what a way to pretty much try to put a cap on this stream, because we had lots of people with various opinions and we still came together and had a good time,
Oh yeah.
I just noticed the time. I got to get ready to get out of here myself.
Yeah, well, how long have we been going?
Yeah, that's cool. Just about, yeah.
Awesome, been great combo.
Yeah, we started about 10 afternoon, so my time, and
time,
it's
yeah. So it's 6
yeah,
o'clock.
it's 2 yeah it's 2:55 Pacific time right now. So yeah, we're like 2 hours 45.
Well, this was still great because, like I said, you know, just a capper in terms of talking about real life issues, but also mixed in with a little Star Wars. I mean, this is pretty my last time just talking about Star Wars for a little bit because I'm going into Game of Thrones mode from right all the way up to tomorrow and the week after. So I'm not really going to be talking a lot about Star Wars next week. It's pretty much Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So,
well, hey, Abu, you're still down for Wednesday night coming on for the parent stream?
The parent? Oh yes, that's right. Yep, I'm still on. I'm still on. Can we talk a little bit about Games of Thrones while we on there? Or
yeah, no, well, you know, it's the parent stream, so like the main it's a lot like the precedent where I let the conversation be very organic. I don't have too much structure. But it is going to be focused on like our concerns, whether it's negative or positive. It doesn't have to all be negative, but our concerns with entertainment and being a parent, and maybe other things that tie into it, with like politics or schooling or what, you know, whatever else that we're not seeing that maybe someone else has an insight on. We just all build off that and stuff. And sometimes the chat will get diluted with like just talking about entertainment as just like, you know, theory and whatnot, if you will. But I try, you know, the first one was kind of chaotic as far as like keeping it honed in, because it's such a weird, it's a new thing, I think, for YouTube, at least with the fandom and fandom specifically. But, you know, every episode is going to get more and more structured as far as containing the chat to like being a parent. But yeah, I still try to keep it organic. So yeah, if you want to bring up Game of Thrones and maybe tie it in where it's like,
yeah,
you know, how I see it, it's like the perfect show because people were, you know, our type of fans were already sustaining this when it was diverse. It had everything an SJW wants with diversity of sexuality and color, but it's not forced. It's not phony. It's like, hey, here's a bisexual character. Here's a dude's dong. Here's, you know, an atheist of thought. Here's like you know, all these different ideas of religion that reflect on real religion. You know, it's got all sorts of stuff in it. It's diverse in various ways. And the few critiques people had with the show, Martin is crushed, where it's like, why is it all brown people following this white savior? And he's like, well, it's supposed to be white people in the book, but we're filming in Morocco. It's cheaper to pay Moroccans than to fly Irish people to Morocco. So
well, like I said, I'm still down. I mean, me myself, I really don't like to talk about politics and everything else. I mean, this is probably the only time I actually cut loose where that's concerned, but I normally just like to keep things like that to myself. That's why I don't put it on my channel and whatnot. That's why I don't really hardly talk about it too much, even on Twitter, you know?
Yeah. Well, just preface, don't be afraid to like introduce differing opinions, even in the fandom menace. Like I'm open. Like this is open to
on that. I just don't like to like I said, if people that I like, I don't like to rub them the wrong way. Because
I get that. Yeah. It's all about what you want to delineate.
Yeah, open with that and stuff. I mean, if I can't convince you, just like I said earlier, if I can't convince you to have an open mind and you can't convince me, just deep six it and just move on. And, you know, we'll just do something else. But yeah, it's on the 17th, right?
And I definitely agree with you. I definitely appreciate you stepping out of your comfort zone a little bit there.
Oh, but like I said, Shell, we talked about this for a while. I was very happy, and I'm grateful that you allowed me to come to your channel and speak my piece. So I have to thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
It's it was definitely my pleasure.
Yep, definitely gonna do this again. Angus, you know it's been a pleasure always, man. So you're gonna be seeing me Wednesday. But if somebody come up with some Game of Thrones streams, like I said, if you in it, put me down.
Yeah, we weren't able to do Game of Thrones tomorrow because of Brandon's got parents coming in where he lives. So we probably
I still got to finish up season 7. So I got 3 more episodes. But the way I'm trying to do it, Black, I'm trying to sort of like time it. So by the time I get through with 3 or those 3 episodes of 7, then I can go straight into episode 8. So I'm pretty much turning off my Twitter after 6 p.m.
Yeah, we've had to push back the season 7 stream, but I'm hoping we can set it up, maybe do it where it's like we're a week behind now. Where it's like, all right, we're doing 7 before episode 1 comes out, and then next week we'll cover episode 1, like recap leading into the night for episode 2 coming out for season 8. Yeah, so yeah, I still plan to do these streams. It's just I think it'll work now since we have the delays this last week.
Okay, just let me know if you need me to come in. I'll be happy to come. Just try to, well, at the very least,
try to warn you.
Yeah, try to warn me, because I'm supposed to be having plans for dinner next Saturday night, and you know Sunday is episode 2 to Game of Thrones. Pretty much Sundays is just going to be a lock for me. So I'm not trying to do anything on Sundays for right now until the shit ends.
Yeah, it's a great time, dude. I'm doing these parent streams every other Wednesday. It's gonna get flopped where I do 2 in a row, and then do like 2 Utter Chaos in a row to set the schedule back. But Friday I'm doing my precinct, and then at 9:30, unfortunately cutting into Sith's time, I'm having David Stewart on, and then the next week I'm seeing Endgame, so I'll do a stream after I see it on that Thursday.
Let me know how it is, because you know I ain't paying to see that shit. So I mean, I'm eventually gonna watch it, but I want to hear your views on it. By the time
yeah, definitely. I've gotten to the point where it's like I'm pro boycott, but I'm trying to be a creator and a topical creator on stuff I care about, and so I'm taking the role. It's like, no, I can't be the audience that boycotts. I have to be the leader who is informing the audience.
Right. And like I said, you taking one for the team, man. I salute you. All right, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure. Time for me to move on now. Everybody that probably is still in the chat at this point, I want to send love out to you guys for hanging out with us through this entire time. You guys are awesome in the chat, and those are the moderators that's there. I don't have the YouTube on, so I can't see. But thank you so much for supporting Shellback, Hallmark, Jeremy, myself, Black Angus, Josiah, who else? Durant, Immortal. So we all thank you very much for doing the damn thing and hanging out.
Yeah. Yes, sir. And
see you around, guys.
If there just happens to be somebody in the chat who doesn't know who either one of these two guys are, go to Black Angus Reviews, go, search up Abu Nas, and you will be entertained and educated. I am sure of that. So thank you. Thank everybody for coming by, and we'll talk to you next time. And fair winds and following seas, everybody.